Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Gish Gallop Girl. I am the main researcher and experiencer of all things Candace Owens, Thomas Anderson. With me is...
the willfully ignorant until tonight, Matthew Anderson.
That's right. And we are still in the series, A Shot in the Dark. But we are now at the end of the series that Candace ran on the Daily Wire network.
Ah.
She was supposed to do more than 11 episodes, but stopped here at number 11. Almost a year and a half before she parted ways with the Daily Wire. I want to note off the bat that the episode audio sucked. And even though in the original video, Candace is very close up on the potato camera she is using, and she is close to the microphone, so it really makes me question how cheap her husband must have been, or how cheap she must have been to not get her the best possible setup. I'm going to show you a picture. I took a screen grab from the original video. I'm going to show you a picture. Now, like I said, her audio sucked. I did turn up the volume on it.
Holy shit.
See, she's sitting right next to like a Yeti.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's solid, like...
Yeah. And the camera, like, I don't know if she used a ring light or not, but it totally, like, flushed out her face.
Yeah.
It's so much worse on the close-ups. Like, when she's not showing us herself stitched into a screen, it is so much worse. Like, it really, really paled her out. But
yeah.
That shot is going to become significant later on. That's why I had to save it. Yeah. But anyway... So yeah, I want to remind everyone that she had a lot of money coming in, and she married a millionaire.
Yeah.
Anyway, the first clip with her theme music. The first clip is here with her theme music, and she addresses some comments made in the last episode. But before we start that up, I want to mention that according to Candace, episode 10 and this one, episode 11, were supposed to be recorded at the same time and released at the same time. Now she said that. Mm-hmm. So anyway, apparently that doesn't matter. Listen to the opening.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 11 of Shot in Dark. I cannot believe we're already on episode 11. I feel like we have really just started to unpack all of this, and I'm glad that everyone's enjoying it. First and foremost, last week I did an episode regarding my birth story, my first birth story, and I received a flood of comments, most of them good, but a couple of labor and delivery nurses were super upset because they felt like I was painting all doctors or all labor and delivery nurses as bad people. That is not at all my intention with this, and I think specifically one commenter wrote to me on Parler that the portion that upset her in last week's episode was when I was talking about when I was pushing. I had just started pushing, and my doctor, my OBGYN, turned to me and said, you're in a safe zone now, but the heart rate is dropping, but we're not yet in the danger zone. And I had questions about that little piece of commentary. And what this commenter wrote to me was that that's our job to monitor the baby's heart rate. And I want to respond to that because I understand that it's your job to monitor the baby's heart rate. She also said that it's normal for the heart rate to drop as the body is contracting and you're pushing. All of that can be true. It still begs the question, why did my OBGYN feel the need to say to me after 2 pushes, hey, it's okay, we're not in the danger zone just yet, but just so you know, the heart is dropping. That sounds like an emergency to any person that is pushing. That is something that terrified me, would terrify any individual. It is your job, correct, to monitor the heart, and if you know that it is not in any danger zone, that this is something that is perfectly normal for you to see, then there's no reason to mention it to somebody. If there's nothing wrong, if everything is normal and there's no medical emergency, then there's no reason to mention it, especially to a woman that's vulnerable and is pushing out their child. And I personally still hold the belief that the reason that is said is because there is some inkling that they want to go justify a C-section later on. So I just...
No, Candace, for fuck's sakes. There would be no C-section option at that point, as we said in the last episode.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, but before I get into that, something that just occurred to me is, she said in the last episode that she didn't go to all of her fucking doctor's appointments.
Yeah.
I would think, had she gone, she would have been informed like she wanted to be.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, you ignorant person.
Yeah.
You didn't fucking go to the information meeting. Guess what you're not going to have on action day?
Yeah.
Fucking information. Yeah, fuck you. Anyway.
That's...
I feel like if her doctor saw this shit after the fact, I would like to think that if I was her doctor, I would be like, you know what? I have enough patience. I don't need your bullshit. Mm-hmm. You and your fucking money can go fuck off. I will give you a list of people that will take your money and lie to you.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh god, the fucking it reminds me of one of the fucking Battlefield games. There's these two guys who are just complete and utter doofuses. Bad Company, I think it was.
Yeah.
Complete and utter doofuses. And the two of them show up with loud equipment and no suppressors. And the commanding officer goes, hey, shoot over there. And he's not clocked that they don't have suppressed equipment. Yeah. And the dude goes, okay, and he levels an LMG and just at the building, and he goes, what the fuck? He's like, what? You said to deliver suppressing fire. Like, yes, I said bring suppressors.
God.
And he's like, oh. Well, shit, we didn't know that. It was in the meeting. Oh, yeah, I'll be honest, I passed out, Chief.
Jeez.
That's what that level of lack of information makes me think of.
Right? Yeah, well, you know, I went back into that episode and I listened to the last episode to see if she ever claimed that the doctor wanted to do a C-section. And she did not claim that, but she said she wondered at that time in that episode if he was trying to get her to do one. Mm-hmm. And as we said at the time, the Queen of Research, Candace Owens, did not realize or want to acknowledge that such a procedure would have been unlikely to have been called.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is all her, thinking of the wrong shit, living on vibes, and doing fuck all for actual research on the topic. Now, Candace is going to tell her audience to calm down while justifying her bad takes. Epic.
Wanted to first and foremost say that, and also to remind you guys not to personalize my commentary when I'm talking about what I've gone through. Not everything is about specifically you, and I know that I'm representing the voices of a lot of women who have had a bad time at the hospital, and I was very clear that I liked my last OBGYN, I liked my OBGYN this time, I've had great nurses. There's just not a means to castigate every single person that works in the medical profession. In many ways, I actually see them as victims as well of a system, but I am going to speak on behalf of people like me, who have felt at moments that they were vulnerable or taken advantage of by the system. And I can't think of a better way to say it than to remind mothers that birth is not a medical emergency. It can become a medical emergency in certain circumstances, but at the moment in our society, we are treating birth as though it is a medical emergency always. And I think that it's not necessarily the right way for us to be thinking about birth, which is this beautiful natural process that takes place and our body knows exactly what to do. So I just wanted to say that in closing to last week's episode.
Yeah, go ahead.
First off, it is a medical emergency.
Yeah.
You're detaching another fucking person from your body.
Yeah.
And B, if it was such a natural and easy process, then for the several centuries that humans have been birthing, there wouldn't be the need for an extra person. Yeah. It would just be a woman able to pop a child out without any issues.
Yeah.
There are several issues and medical emergencies that can happen.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what I said here. This isn't her closing out on the topic because she isn't really finished.
Oh, God.
And
there's more.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry, but, you know, as you were saying, birth is a medical emergency by any measure. Even if you're doing it at home, there are protocols to follow and things to do to ensure a healthy birth.
Yeah.
But I think Candace felt it necessary to step in with a bit of bullshit based on the workup she gave to the medical community in the last episode. And speaking of the last episode, like I said, she isn't done.
Okay. Also wanted to clarify one more point. I had said last week, I couldn't remember what it was that my doctor had suggested for COVID, that they said was protocol if you've had COVID while you're pregnant. And I said that it was definitely aspirin, and I thought it was an injection to the uterus, perhaps. Another person clarified to me that it was actually an injection to the abdomen. And she is correct. What they recommend if you're pregnant and you get COVID is that you then get an injection to the abdomen for aspirin. And the reason for that is because it's supposed to help prevent blood clots. She said this sort of in defense of the process. It still makes entirely no sense to me. Why would you recommend a shot of aspirin to the abdomen because I have COVID? If you're concerned about blood clots, why are you recommending that women get the vaccines? We know for a fact that these vaccines cause blood clots and they cause various issues. So it doesn't make sense to me that on the one hand, because you want everybody to get vaccinated, you're willing to risk something that gives them blood clots. And then when people get COVID and are fine, you recommend, oh, well, just in case there's blood clots, we want to give you a shot of aspirin to the abdomen. Still makes entirely no sense to me, but I do want to clarify that you are correct. It was aspirin recommended injected into the abdomen.
No, that is still entirely fucking wrong. As we covered in the last episode, there is no point at any stage of COVID where women have been told that they need a shot of aspirin in the abdomen to counteract COVID-19. Here's what established medical evidence and guidelines tell us. Blood clot risk in pregnancy plus COVID-19. Pregnancy itself increases the risk of blood clots, and COVID-19 further elevates this risk. So there is legitimate medical concern to thrombosis, blood clots, in pregnant patients with COVID-19. Guidelines for this are, for pregnant individuals with COVID-19 who are at increased thrombotic risk, the standard of care in 2022 was the administration of prophylactic anticoagulation. The universally recommended drug is low molecular weight heparin, LMWH, given by subcutaneous injection, a shot usually in the abdomen. This is to prevent blood clots, but it is not aspirin. As we said in the last episode, low-dose aspirin, most commonly in pill form, 75 to 150 milligrams daily, one dose, is used to help prevent preeclampsia or for women at high risk of placental disorders. It is not administered as an injection, and certainly not injected into the abdomen. The aspirin is taken orally, not as a shot. There is no evidence for aspirin shots. Nowhere in leading medical literature or guidelines from the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists, the Royal College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists, the American CDC, or any other major organization is there ever a recommendation or documented practice of injecting aspirin into the abdomen of pregnant women to prevent blood clots, regardless of COVID-19 status. If blood clot prevention is warranted due to COVID-19 or additional risk factors, pregnant individuals may receive subcutaneous injections of LMWH, such as Lovenox, I think it is, or enoxaparin, which are given in the abdomen, but again, this is not aspirin. That was all provided as the first link in the link stack for this episode. Those are the actual guidelines from the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists that outlines COVID-19 procedures, which also include Paxlovid, which we discussed in the last episode. I want to mention again before we go on, I did say this last week, but Candace did not include links for this one on the free Patreon tier, and I think I know why. That's going to come up later.
Yeah.
So I won't be including her links with this one because we don't fucking have any.
Yeah.
Basically, we're back to old school methods here where she says a stupid thing and I get to hunt it down because she seems to avoid giving links on her current work as well. She usually only gives links to her advertisers.
Yeah.
Anyway, as promised.
Or her trusted sources.
Yeah.
And then tells us not to use Wikipedia, yet she goes to Wikipedia.
Or CNN, or the Associated Press, or anything that's ever printed a negative thing on her at any time. They're hacks, but apparently they're not when they serve a purpose.
Yeah, you know.
And look, I will admit, I don't think very highly of the Daily Mail.
Yeah.
I've said as much many times, but they do occasionally do something right, and I will acknowledge that.
Yeah.
I don't think they're a good source. I don't think Fox News is a good fucking source for anything.
No.
However, occasionally someone there is like 1,000 monkeys at 1,000 typewriters. Occasionally one of them prints up something decent.
Yeah.
You know? But usually what I find is if they're reporting on something, especially if they're sourced, I can go to the source and see if that was any good or not. If it's a bad faith source, I'm not going to engage with it further. But if it's a good faith source, I'll follow the source.
Yeah.
not the person, fucking...
God, that's something that's been pissing me off with IGN lately. I'm glad I don't pay for a subscription to them.
Yeah.
But the fucking IGN...
They're terrible.
I don't know who the fuck's in charge of writing their articles, but they clearly have never touched an actual video game in their life.
Yeah, there's a guy who he has a podcast. He has a podcast on Cool Zone Media. Better Offline. Mm-hmm. And he has a lot of issues, a lot of legitimate issues with the gaming press and tech press in particular.
Yeah.
I don't think he thinks very highly of IGN.
No, probably not.
Yeah, he's a British dude living in Vegas, so he's always there for the conferences and stuff. Yeah, and what he likes to do at the cons is he'll rent a room with a private bar.
Yeah.
And he'll pay like someone who's very knowledgeable about tech stuff to be the bartender. And so he'll get his guests for his shows and for his interviews a little lubed up with some good drinks. And they'll tell the bartender sometimes like what kind of fucked shit they saw on the floors, things that they wouldn't necessarily tell the interviewer they're about to sit down with.
Yeah.
And the bartender will get them greased up for it, Mm-hmm. It's a very good system. But, Ed Zitron, that's his name. He has a Substack called Where's Your Ed At? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, he's got a very, very good program. But, he talks constantly sometimes about how, how some of these tech companies, they went over to AI writing, and it's just bad.
Yeah.
It's you have to... I've seen, good examples of ChatGPT. I've seen good examples of ChatGPT writing stuff, but you got to have a human involved.
Yeah.
Someone to go, wait, what? No.
Go back through and error check.
Yeah.
Which, unfortunately, a lot of people who utilize that don't seem to do. They just go, oh, look, it's done, yay. Send it off, and then everybody reads it and goes, okay, huh?
Yeah. Or... Yeah, we wanted a report from you, not from where it says here, printed with ChatGPT Basic.
Or they don't fucking remove any of the fucking intermission lines of it. God, okay, Google's AI was fucking retarded when it started.
Yeah,
still kind of is.
Right,
but their AI overview has been useful in some regards for, just basic video game research of how the fuck do I kill this boss?
Right.
And it'll go, well, according to most popular sources, you need to do it this way. I'm like, okay, cool. That's so convoluted, though. There's a much easier way.
Yeah.
But, I'll do that, and then, I've used Google to look up shit for, Warframe and shit. And I'm like, okay, how do I get this thing? And I'll be reading down, and then about halfway down, I just go, did it have a stroke? Did I stroke? Because it went from telling me how to get my hands on this radiation mod to how radiation damage works to enemies that inflict radiation damage when I'm asking about where the fuck to get the mod.
Let me tell you about my favorite time with the Google AI. Now, I have fucked with DeepSeek, Meta, Grok, and Perplexity. I have asked each one of them for a podcast focused on debunking Candace Owens specifically.
Yeah.
Now, each one of those initially has told me no such show exists, and they give me things like Behind the Bastards, where they might have mentioned Candace Owens once in an episode or things like that.
Yeah.
And then I tell them, well, I'm asking because I happen to run Gish Gallop Girl, and I explain the podcast, and then they go, oh, and then they just spit out all the correct information. DeepSeek and Grok and Meta all thanked me for the input and said, oh, thank you for,
adding
blah,
this to the archive.
Yeah, and I was like, okay. So I'll go back in, a couple weeks later, and I'll ask them again for the same information. and I'll phrase the question either the same way or just slightly differently, but from like, an anonymous account, something that's not cookied in with them.
Yeah.
And I'll get the information that I was looking for. I'm like, okay, cool. Well, I did this with Google recently. I had heard, because Ed Zitron hates AI, he hates all of the large language models because they don't work like they're supposed to.
Yeah.
Google has gotten the most shade from him, and I understand why.
Yeah.
I went into Google and I asked it that same shit. It gave me 3 different podcasts, none of which were even close. One was a podcast about Gilmore Girls.
Okay.
One was a podcast about Gossip Girl. Another one was a podcast about the Golden Girls. And it gave bad information on each of those 3, none of which were even close. And it said it all. It didn't even like if you're reading it, it didn't even blink at how bad it was, at how bad the information was. It was confidently incorrect about Gish Gallop Girl.
Yeah.
Because I asked it, and it gives me some stuff about Candace Owens, and I was like, okay, well, what about the podcast Gish Gallop Girl? Same way that I set up everything else. Did not look. Gave me the other 3. Like, and it talked about how the shows didn't seem to be connected at all, and I was like, well, that wasn't what I was asking you.
Yeah.
Oh, well, what did you need more help with? And I gave it to it again, and it still fucked up the 3rd time, and I was like, I used to like you. Yeah. And I just I noped right out of it. I was like, I'm done. I can't deal with you anymore.
There's a scene in one of John Tron's things. He's sitting there and he goes, "Hey Siri, is there a secret shadow government controlling us through technology?" And it goes, "I'm sorry, I did not get that." He goes, "You're fine."
Yeah.
"I'm sorry, could you please repeat that?" "Oh, I fucking hate you."
Well, so back to things here. Before we go on, yeah, I did say this. Yeah, okay. So, anyway, as we mentioned last week, for what would seem like no reason at all, we get to talk about Justin Bieber.
I don't see the privilege in this, but all right.
I want to remind everyone. Hold on. I want to remind everyone that this episode has 2 titles, just like the last one did. On Patreon, the title is Episode 11, The Flu Shot, Justin Bieber, and a Brand New Vaccine Mystery. But on Daily Wire, it was The Pros and Cons of Being Induced. Anyway, as I said, on to Justin Bieber.
Before we get started with Justin Bieber,
yeah,
I know it's not at all what's going to be in there, but is she trying?
What?
Part of me hopes that she's attempting to say that there is a vaccine that makes you like Justin Bieber, or that Justin Bieber is a disease.
Funny thing about Bieber, okay? Candace seems to be a fan.
Okay.
She's spoken highly of him in these past couple years.
All right.
For various reasons. Now, to his credit, if I could give him any kind of credit, I'm not a big fan of his. As I've said, I've liked a couple of his songs. I prefer more when they're mashed up with things like Slipknot. But that being said, if you look at things from the skin level, the surface level, he seems to want to be a decent dad and husband.
Yeah.
If that's the case, cool. If it comes out that he's any kind of like asshole, all right, fine, fuck him, roast him, I don't care.
Yeah.
But
see, I've never had a problem with Bieber outside of the generational issue of he's the one fucking music star that I had to listen to every fucking chick my age growing up going, oh my god, it's Justin Bieber, I love his music, and listening to his music on the radio on a fucking country channel.
Now, here's my beef with Bieber, okay?
Okay.
When I worked for Walmart, there was a time where I was subjected to Walmart radio, which anyone who currently works for Walmart is subjected to a worse version of it now.
There's a worse version?
Yeah, they added DJs for some reason.
What?
And a morning show. Yeah, it got way worse as I was leaving the company. There was a morning show that they ran. Like, they treat it like a real radio station. But from the 90s.
Why?
Because they suck. It's Walmart. Yeah, anyway. So Walmart would, they'd play the in-store music, the shit that you're just forced to listen to. Mm-hmm. Well, they had the same, tracks running forever. And one of them was Justin Bieber's Baby.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I have heard Baby more times than any human ever should have to, if they're not into it. And that's why the Slipknot mashup with Psychosocial really made me laugh the first time I heard it, and is on my YouTube playlist.
Yeah.
But, fucking... That song is just... I don't mind his later stuff when he actually became an adult and whatever.
Yeah.
But his stuff from when he was a child was just insufferable. And I know that there was this whole production thing behind him. You can't blame him entirely.
Yeah.
He's just a kid trying to perform and make some money.
Yeah,
I can't blame him entirely, but the whole machine that produced him and his image
can go.
Oh god, can go right off a cliff. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that's probably honestly what I have the most beef with is that whole monster behind him.
Yeah. Well, anyway, as we said, on to Justin Bieber, and this clip is over 4 minutes long.
Okay, jumping into this week's episode, I first want to cover some stories that have been in the news that you guys may or may not have been following. First and foremost, Justin Bieber. If you guys do not have Instagram or do not follow him, he's a mega superstar. Obviously, he is a world-renowned pop star, very talented, and he took to his Instagram to divulge that he was going to have to cancel upcoming tour stops because the left side of Justin Bieber's face went paralyzed. Part of the right side of his face went paralyzed. And in the video, which I do want to show a little bit of, you can see that he's just unable to move the right side of his face. His eyes are not in sync, and he is genuinely troubled, and he announces that he has Ramsay-Hunt syndrome. So take a look at that.
Hey everyone, Justin here. I wanted to update you guys on what's been going on. Obviously, as you can probably see from my face, I have this syndrome called Ramsay-Hunt syndrome, and it is from this virus that attacks the nerve in my ear, my facial nerves, and has caused my face to have paralysis. As you can see, this eye is not blinking. I can't smile on this side of my face. This nostril will not move. So there's full paralysis in this side of my face.
Okay, so when I saw this video, what was immediately interesting to me was the fact that only a couple of months earlier, Justin Bieber's wife, first and foremost, Justin Bieber himself is 28 years old. He's extremely young. So I don't know how many of you and your 28-year-old friends when you were 28 just wake up one day and your right side of your face is paralyzed, but that's interesting to know that he's 28. A few months prior, his 25-year-old wife, who is a model, she is young, she is healthy, announced a similar random thing to have happened to her. She said she woke up one day and she was having breakfast with her husband, and suddenly she felt a partial paralysis on the side of her body, and what felt like a stroke was coming on. She made it to the hospital in time, and they discovered that she had a blood clot in her brain, and that she did in fact have essentially a mini stroke. So here's just a couple of seconds from her describing that experience.
As some people know, a lot of people know, or you may not know, I had a very scary incident on March 10th. Basically, I was sitting at breakfast with my husband, having a normal day, normal conversation, and we were in the middle of talking. And all of a sudden, I felt this really weird sensation that kind of like traveled down my arm from my shoulder all the way down to my fingertips, and it made my fingertips feel really numb and weird. And I was sitting there and I was kind of going like this, trying to figure out like what the sensation was and where it was coming from. And Justin was like, "Are you okay?" And I just didn't respond because I wasn't sure. And then he asked me again, and when I went to respond, I couldn't speak. The right side of my face started drooping. I couldn't get a sentence out. Everything was coming out like, not even jumbled, just like couldn't get any of the words out. So basically, they did some scans and they were able to see that I had suffered a small blood clot to my brain. Basically, it's like having a mini stroke. It definitely feels like having a stroke.
Okay. Maybe you know some random strike of lightning individual who, at the age of 28 years old, healthy, traveling the world for the majority of their life doing concerts, suddenly became paralyzed at 28 years old. What are the chances that that individual's wife also had a similar scenario in their 20s, and suddenly they end up in the hospital with brain clots? What's interesting, with blood clots to the brain. What's interesting about the Ramsay-Hunt syndrome diagnosis is, in case you don't know, Ramsay-Hunt syndrome for Justin Bieber, which is what they told him he had, is basically an identical clinical picture for Bell palsy syndrome. And Bell palsy syndrome has been observed many times over in the trials for the Pfizer vaccine, right?
Okay, normally I don't touch celebrity stuff, but obviously this falls under the rare shit that makes it onto this show. So I looked into this, and Candace is not entirely wrong on this one. She fucks up in linking Ramsay-Hunt and Bell's palsy, but she was correct that COVID vaccines from Pfizer, BioNTech, and Moderna were shown in very rare cases, like a less than 1% of 1%, so a very small number of these, can activate Ramsay-Hunt syndrome, which is a reactivation of Varicella Zoster virus, the same virus that causes chickenpox and shingles. Bell's palsy has an unknown cause, though it is thought to be viral or inflammatory, but it is not specifically linked to Varicella Zoster virus, or VZV. They both present differently as well. VZV presents with a painful and blistering rash on an ear or in the mouth. Bell's has no rash with it. Other VZV symptoms may include ear pain, hearing loss, vertigo, tinnitus, loss of taste, dry mouth, and dry eyes. Bell's palsy is less severe in every respect, but has many of the same symptoms. VZV can be detected in blood samples, but Bell's palsy isn't viral, so it is a diagnosis based on ruling out other diagnoses. Treatment for VZV is usually antivirals and corticosteroids. For Bell's, corticosteroids are used, and sometimes antivirals are used as well. If herpes simplex is detected in diagnosis. Most cases of Bell's palsy resolve within weeks or months, but VZV has far worse recovery rates. Justin Bieber, however, has the ultimate superpower of money. So I am sure he got the best care possible.
Oh, yeah.
Included in the link stack is a comparison article from Banner Health explaining both conditions as a comparison. So the Biebs happen to fall into a percent that might have maybe gotten this as a reactivation of the virus that causes chickenpox due to the elements in the COVID-19 vaccines. I want to say this again, of course, that extremely rare side effect chances far outweigh the risks of COVID-19 even in 2025, the current year. And there is no proof that his vaccination caused this at all. No public reason was given, but at least his version didn't come with a rash, not that we know of anyway.
Yeah.
The truth is, anyone that got chickenpox or shingles at any age can have VZV reactivate due to any number of factors. And the list of possibilities is massive. So please, don't get chickenpox or shingles. Get the fucking vaccines while you still can, all of them. RFK Jr. is dismantling the structure of the medical community a little more every day. So please do yourselves the favor, if at all possible, and get every vaccine that you fucking can. And now, Candace will go on to be incorrect, ignorant, naive, and give us the dumbest possible confidently incorrect take on everything I just went through.
That in the arm in which the person gets the Pfizer vaccine, and I'm going to link this so that you guys can see this. Like I said, you could give us a basic Google search, and there will be tons of articles that come up talking about the association between Bell palsy syndrome, which is face paralysis, partial face paralysis, and the Pfizer vaccine. In fact, the difference that is described between the Pfizer vaccine and, between Ramsay-Hunt syndrome and Bell's palsy syndrome, as it says, well, Ramsay-Hunt syndrome typically comes with a rash. It sounds to me like we're just renaming things at a certain point. It typically comes with a rash, and it also says that beyond the rash, it lasts longer. Well, Hailey Bieber has recently come out and said that Justin is all better, so we know that his didn't last very long, and it's very likely that he had Bell's palsy syndrome. I didn't see a rash on him, on his face when he did this video. Maybe there was a rash somewhere else, but it's very likely that they just diagnosed him with this so that he didn't look at Bell's palsy. Am I saying that right? Bell's palsy syndrome. And it's very clear to me, of course, we also know, as I just said earlier in talking about the aspirin to prevent blood clots, that we know that what Hailey Bieber experienced is also something that comes when you get the Pfizer vaccine or get any of these COVID-19 vaccines, that this is something that can happen to you, and it's happened to many people. Aside from the myocarditis, there have been so many people that are having random clots after these shots. What's sad to me is that you have an example of two able-bodied, healthy individuals who are believing that they're just having these random things happen to them, which brings me to last week's episode when we talked about sudden adult death syndrome.
Okay, I'm pausing here to discuss blood clots and COVID-19 vaccines. So the risk of developing blood clots in your body is higher with COVID vaccines in general, but it is lower than if you actually live through a COVID infection without the vaccines. Having a COVID infection makes you 6 times more likely to develop blood clots in the body overall, including the brain, than going with the vaccine, which only increases the risk of blood clots by 1.1 to 1.2 times. And that risk doesn't carry forward very far past a 2-week window after vaccination. I found that data in studies that had not been peer-reviewed on the NIH website, but I did find one from 2023 from the University of Buffalo that found only about 1.4 people per million developed concerning blood clots after a COVID vaccination. That link is in the stack. But all of that being said, neither Justin Bieber nor his wife Hailey have ever said they were vaccinated or when. It is only generally assumed that they were, since they attended the Met Gala in 2021, and that gala required participants to be vaccinated. But again, no one from their publicity team has ever said they were or were not vaccinated. So Candace, per the usual, could be conflating this whole thing on entirely false data. Further to the point, 9 months had passed since the Met Gala in 2021 and the Beeb's statement about Ramsay-Hunt. Yeah. So.
Yeah, if he was having a negative reaction, it would have happened a lot sooner.
Yeah, a lot sooner, yeah. So, far from the 2-week period where these symptoms would have shown up in either Justin or Hailey if it was vaccine related for her blood clot issue or his symptoms. Fucking absurd and full of shit, as always. But she is going to keep going, like an Energizer bunny that runs on bullshit.
Media is attempting to normalize the abnormal, right? They are looking at these individuals and saying, oh, they just both got struck by lightning. I don't know, they happen to be married, they're young, they're in their 20s, but I guess lightning can strike twice in the same household. This is not normal. Let's not normalize this. Let's stop pretending this is normal. Let's not normalize teenagers getting myocarditis. Teenagers having heart issues is not normal. 20-year-olds getting brain clots, getting blood clots in their brain. 20-year-olds having sudden facial paralysis. None of this is normal. And yet the media doesn't even acknowledge, doesn't even ask the question about whether or not the two of them both received the Pfizer vaccine. Again, this stuff is available. You can look at it in the documents, in the Pfizer documents, that this is what could potentially happen to you if you get this vaccine. And yet, none of that has been mentioned at all in the media. You have to go to alternative news sources to even have a reasonable discussion about why we're seeing so many healthy people suffer from, autoimmune deficiencies and random disorders, like Justin Bieber and Hailey Bieber. So that has been in the news this week. You should go and check out their 2 videos and then just test yourself against common sense and ask yourself the question if you really believe that lightning struck twice in the Bieber household. I also want to get to this story because somebody emailed it to me and I could not believe this at all. It is actually there's a new vaccine that is on the way. All right, so take a look at this. Somebody emailed this to me, and they said that this sign was up at a local CVS, and it says, "Join the fight against CMV, the #1 infection that causes birth defects in the United States. Participate in Moderna's, of course, CM Victory Trial, a clinical research trial for an investigational vaccine to protect against CMV infection." You're probably going, what the heck is CMV, right? Because that's what I did when I saw it. I said, what the heck is CMV? It reminds me when they suddenly started telling us about HPV. No one had ever heard of it. No one was having any issues. But they go, oh, we discovered another virus and everyone's going to get a vaccine for it. So they answer the question, what is CMV? CMV is short for cytomegalovirus, a common virus that usually goes unnoticed. Over 50% of adults in the US have had CMV without knowing it. So there it is. You have no symptoms, but we're telling you that you're sick and you have this virus. It goes on and says the CMV virus is the #1 infectious cause of birth defects. If a woman is infected with CMV while pregnant, it may cause complications or birth defects such as hearing loss. So this is, of course, one of their strategies. If you're going to try to introduce something, why not go after pregnant women who are vulnerable, scared, especially if you're having your first child, and they say you could potentially have birth defects. There's this virus that nobody's ever heard about or nobody knows anything about, but we have discovered it, and you're going to need to get some vaccines for it. It says that currently there's no approved vaccines against the CMV virus. Don't worry, guys. The FDA will make sure they get one approved as soon as they figure out their financial incentives to do so.
Okay. So to start with, I went back and watched the video for this one to see if the sign advertising this trial at a CVS, because she said that someone sent her a photo of that.
Yeah.
There is no photo of the supposed sign on her show. Instead, her people stitched in a screenshot that talks about the trial. And gives the material she reads aloud about why people should participate. CVS itself has never had a sign up like this in any location. But the trial has been ongoing for some time. The vaccine itself is an mRNA vaccine, and trials will continue for some time as well. As for this being something that no one has ever heard of and no one knows about, Candace is once again very fucking wrong. CMV was first observed in 1881 by a German pathologist, Hugo Ribert, awesome name, who noticed enlarged cells with prominent nuclei in the tissues of infants. At that time, the enlarged cells were not recognized as being caused by a virus. The characteristic cytomegaly was simply described histologically. I love all these words I get to pull from medical documents. It wasn't until later, in 1921, that Goodpasture and Talbert, awesome names again, suggested that these cellular changes could be due to a viral agent. 1921, a year nobody ever heard of, apparently.
Yeah.
And finally, in 1956 to 1957, somewhere around there, human CMV was independently isolated and identified as a virus by Weller, Smith, and Rowe. So again, the breakdown of this. 1881, it was first observed by Ribert. 1921, viral cause was proposed. 1956 to 57, CMV was isolated and confirmed as a virus. The name cytomegalovirus was adopted after its viral nature was established. So it was identified as a known virus in the 1950s. So you might be asking what CMV actually is or does, and I'm going to read it. I'm going to read from a link in the link stack from the Mayo Clinic that describes it pretty well. The overview is a cytomegalovirus, CMV infection, is a condition caused by a common virus. The CMV virus stays in the body for life after infection. CMV spreads from person to person through body fluids. These include blood, saliva, urine, semen, and breast milk. Symptoms of a CMV infection can include a fever, fatigue, and a sore throat, but the virus rarely causes symptoms in healthy people. If you're pregnant or your immune system is weakened, CMV is a cause for concern. Pregnant people with an active CMV infection can pass the virus to their babies. Their babies might then have symptoms. For people who have weakened immune systems, CMV infection can be fatal. The risk is especially high for people who have had an organ, stem cell, or bone marrow transplant. Lab tests of blood, saliva, and urine can be done to find out if you have a CMV infection. Most often, healthy people don't need treatment for CMV infections. Others who become ill are prescribed medicines that help ease the symptoms. Help limit the spread of CMV infections with good hygiene. Wash your hands often. Don't touch your face after handling used tissues or diapers. Ew. And don't share food, drinks, or utensils.
I don't know why you'd do one of those things.
Right? But wait, there's more.
Of course.
Symptoms. CMV infections can cause symptoms such as fever, tiredness, and a sore throat, but most healthy people who are infected with CMV have no symptoms. People who are more likely to have symptoms of a CMV infection include newborns who became infected with CMV before they were born. This condition is called congenital CMV. Infants who become infected during birth or shortly afterward, also called perinatal CMV. This group includes babies infected through breast milk. Or people who have weakened immune systems. This includes people who have had an organ, bone marrow, or stem cell transplant, as we said, or those people who have HIV. CMV infection can cause illness when you're first infected. This is called a primary infection. The risk of a baby being born with CMV is higher when the pregnant parent gets a primary infection. If you're healthy, CMV mainly stays dormant. That means the virus doesn't become active and make copies of itself. But in people with weakened immune systems, CMV can become active again when the body's defenses can't keep it dormant. Most babies who have congenital CMV appear healthy at birth. A few babies with congenital CMV who appear healthy at birth get symptoms over time. Sometimes the symptoms start months or years after birth. The most common of these late symptoms are hearing loss and delays in development. A small number of babies also may develop vision loss. Babies with congenital CMV who are sick at birth can have symptoms or conditions that include low birth weight, yellow skin and eyes called jaundice. This may be harder to see on darker skinned individuals. Damage to the retina of the eye called retinitis. Rash or pinpoint round spots on the skin. A head that is smaller than typical. This is called microcephaly. An enlarged spleen. Pneumonia. Seizures. Developmental and motor delays. And babies with congenital CMV who have symptoms also might be more likely to be born premature. People who have weakened immune systems. In people with weakened immune systems, CMV can lead to conditions that affect the eyes, lungs, liver, esophagus, stomach, intestines, brain. Most healthy people who are infected with CMV have few, if any, symptoms. When first infected, some adults may have symptoms such as fatigue, fever, sore throat, headache, and swollen glands. See your healthcare professional if you have a weakened immune system and you get symptoms of a CMV infection. Without treatment, CMV infections can be serious or even fatal for some people who have weakened immune systems. Those who've gotten stem cell or organ transplants seem to be at the greatest risk. If you are pregnant and you become ill with symptoms such as fever, fatigue, sore throat, or swollen glands, or if you have mild symptoms of a CMV infection but are healthy, you likely won't need treatment. Your healthcare professional might simply tell you to get plenty of rest. When your baby or young child should see a doctor, well, if you know you were infected with CMV during your pregnancy, tell your child's healthcare professional. Your child will likely be tested for hearing or vision problems. Now, I know that was all a lot.
Yeah.
But that's what we do here. For Candace to brush this aside shows not only a lack of knowledge, but a disturbing lack of curiosity about what this is, as she waves it off as a nothing burger on her poorly produced shit show. Solving this for people moving forward could solve a lot of health issues that exist right now for a lot of people that have issues from this and don't know it but are living with it. I will admit I did not know about this until I had to look this shit up, but now that I know, if there's a vaccine that could keep me from getting it or suppress it in me if I have it, then I want that fucking vaccine.
Yeah.
But she is not done. She is still reading from the advertisement and goes on to continue to be an ignorant asshole, flaunting her fucking ignorance.
And it says, why should I participate? Why should I participate in this trial? And it says, taking part in a clinical trial will help researchers learn more about CMV virus and whether an investigational vaccine is safe and effective. Love those two words, safe and effective. And also, you may receive compensation for your time and travel. So this is coming around the corner. Of course, we know Moderna is one of the big guys. You get Moderna, you get Merck, you get Pfizer. It means we're creating a new vaccine. We're going to create a problem that nobody knows exists. We're going to tell them that there's no symptoms. We just know the virus is in there. Just trust the scientists. Just trust the science, and be sure to inject yourselves and eventually your babies, and eventually with some more doses of this when it comes out. And you're going to be wondering, what the heck is it? I mean, still, it's like my question with HPV. What the heck is it? If over 95% of people have no symptoms, if a tree falls in the forest, nobody's around, does it make a sound? It's that question, right? If you're telling us that we're all sick but we have no symptoms, are we sick? Are we sick? And here it is. They're going to say, well, it could lead to hearing loss. We've found that it could potentially lead to hearing loss. And of course, they control their own studies. We have no access to this data. It sounds completely made up, but I just thought that this was interesting. So keep a listen out, I should say, for CMV, another made up virus coming down from Moderna that will earn them trillions of dollars of profit into the future. Because 75 shots for your kids, it's not enough. 75 vaccines for your children is not enough. We're going to need to try to make it to 80 before we get to 2024, I think.
It bears repeating as often as needed, but the total vaccine load is not even close to 70, let alone 80.
God, if it was 80, fucking hell.
Yeah, it's much, much lower for anyone by the time they're 18. The number can be as low as 25 in most cases, and slightly higher if boosters are sought out. Candace goes on to give her messed up take on little kids getting COVID vaccines.
Is going to be the push from a big pharma. Speaking of your babies and approval for vaccines, I'm sure you saw this in the news this week, that they have approved the vaccine. The COVID-19 vaccines have been authorized by the FDA for kids under 5 years old. So if your baby is 6 months and up to 5 years old, it is now approved a 3-dose regimen of the COVID vaccine, despite the fact that adults and teenagers are having myocarditis, despite the fact that people have died from the vaccine, despite the fact, and this is a real number, that if you are a child and you have no comorbidities, when I say comorbidities, I mean comorbidities like leukemia, because they were counting these as COVID deaths. Kids that died of leukemia but also tested positive for COVID were counted as COVID deaths, and they still couldn't get the numbers very high. But if you have no comorbidities and you are a child, you have a 99.98% chance of surviving COVID.
And that is because of all kinds of public health initiatives that were aimed at keeping kids safe. Masking, social distancing, distance learning, avoiding crowded areas, hand sanitizing regularly, testing regularly for COVID, and those are just the ones I can think of right now.
Mm-hmm.
But going back to the bullshit about comorbidity, I am including a link from Reuters in the link stack about why it mattered that COVID was comorbid with other issues. Basically, if someone had an underlying cause that helped lead to their death, such as a kid with leukemia, that compromised child was not going to have a great time if they also contracted COVID.
Yeah.
In such a case, if COVID contributed to their demise, it would be listed alongside the leukemia, not as the sole reason for their death. The same was true of anyone. In cases where there was no known or verifiable underlying cause, COVID was listed as the sole cause. This was all done in this way for proper record keeping. That's why we have the term comorbidity.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I had a relative that died from HIV. Well, he died from AIDS.
Yeah.
HIV turned to AIDS, as it does. Family Guy has a song about that.
Yeah.
Barbershop song with Peter, I think. Anyway, it's quite funny because I'm into dark humor. But at any rate, you know, so my relative had died from the flu. The flu killed him, but the AIDS certainly helped it kill him.
Yeah.
You know, and the fact that he had no appetite. He wasn't eating anything. Guy was down to like, God, I was told 88 pounds, which was
Jesus
mind-blowing for his height and size when I knew him.
Mm-hmm.
That was just like, his friends said they could just pick him up, and that was a good thing because often he needed them to pick him up and put him on the toilet when he had to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Like, he was in no shape whatsoever. But yeah, his official cause of death was, you know, influenza comorbid with AIDS.
Yeah.
Like, that's just, you know, I mean, it's a shit way to go.
Oh, yeah.
But, Yeah, Candace is going to go on now and talk about how, according to herself, kids don't need the COVID vaccine.
Why on earth? Why on earth would the FDA approve a vaccine that comes with so many issues, that has clearly made so many people have autoimmune issues, that we know comes with a host of issues like Bell palsy syndrome? Why would they say this is definitely something we should authorize for children? You had people that had their entire lives taken from them because of these vaccines that testified in front of the FDA and said, do not approve this for children. How dare we do this to our nation's most vulnerable and young? The FDA didn't care. You know what their excuse was? You can read through the hearings. They said, well, there are some parents who desperately want this for their children, desperately want this for their children. I have no doubt that there are some people in the world that are absolutely out of their minds. I have no doubt. The idea that they're doing this for those parents is a joke. They're doing this for profit. They're doing this for money. They're doing this because they're going to pretend it's going to be a choice for parents who desperately want it for their children, when in reality it's going to be a demand that is made for parents that are enrolling their children in school. That's where we're going. Guaranteed profit. Get it on the list of shots that children must have to go to camp, to go to school. That's exactly where this is headed. Do not ever believe, I state this over and over again, and I will never get sick of saying it, do not ever believe that the government cares about your children. It simply isn't true. Least of all when it comes to drugs. We are operating the biggest drug cartel in this country, okay? And if what I am showing you is not proof of that, if the authorization of children with a 99.98% survival rate from a virus that they typically have zero symptoms for, and yet they are going to authorize this vaccine is not proof enough for you, you have to wake up, because this is scary stuff. It's almost like a dystopian experiment on children. And it's correct. It's our nation's most vulnerable people, pregnant women and children. It's always who they're going after when you take a look at these vaccines. And I hope that you will actually take a second and give to my Patreon. You know, I'm doing this work. It's a team of 2, well, 3 including me. And it would be great if you guys could support our work at patreon.com/Candace Owens.
So, that last bit there, where she very quietly spoke, was for her Patreon. Now, on the audio playback for me, it goes from her regular speech down to a practical whisper.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think she was authorized to do this show as a Patreon thing.
Yeah.
From what I have been able to tell on the Patreon, all of these first 11 episodes were previously available either on Daily Wire Plus or on Patreon for paying members. The fee for Daily Wire Plus was about $8 per month. And the fee on her Patreon to access the videos and the links was $20 per month.
Mm-hmm.
So if I had to guess, somewhere between episode 8 and 9, she was probably told to stop shilling her Patreon. Because she doesn't advertise it in episode 9, 10, or this one like she was previously. Remember how I said, like, I could look at the audio bar and be like, all right, that's a Patreon ad, that's a Patreon ad, because it was the same size and shape every time.
Yeah.
But starting around episode 9, there was no Patreon ad directly. There wasn't one in 10 directly like we'd heard before. Mm. There isn't one in this one. She does do this again, but that's kind of as close as it gets, where she's slipping it in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like she's trying to get it under the reviewers.
Yeah, or she's trying to get under the radar anyway.
She does. I mean, I don't know how things work at the Daily Wire, but I'm assuming that audio has to pass through somebody else's hands for them to go.
You know, you would think so, but as I said on one of our very early episodes, I found out that, you know, just in doing the work, that there was actually someone at the Daily Wire that was paid to be like a content monitor or something, a fact checker. Oh, yeah. That was it. Yeah, and I was like, God, that sounds like the cushiest job. Just
get paid and sit back and do nothing.
Yeah,
just green light everything. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hey, just green light it all. And it was such a familial job too, because one of the fact checkers hired to do that is the son of one of the people that runs the Daily Wire.
That just sounds like they needed something for their kid to do.
I mean, the guy is a lawyer. So, you know, you have to assume he went through school somewhere to get a law degree.
Yeah.
I didn't look too deep into him, but yeah, like, it's like, you know, ugh. But, yeah. So, like I said, anyway, pushing back on all the things she just said, it is widely understood that kids on the whole did not get COVID on the same rate that adults did, because people were a lot more careful with kids. A lot of kids could do school shit at home, They could mask in public, social distance, and so on, where it wasn't always possible for adults to do that. Mm-hmm. You know, like if you work in a restaurant,
yeah,
there are certain conditions you can't get beyond.
Yeah.
But if your kid is at home doing distance learning, well, they're not in a classroom with, random 30 other kids, and whatever their health conditions are. So getting the vaccine made the world safer for kids that could get it, and vaccine acceptance rates being high are really the only reason I believe that things got better on the whole.
Yeah.
And now Candace is going to talk about flu shots.
I want to jump into the discussion about the flu shot by saying something that has been said by so many people, and yet we keep being told that we're crazy. It kind of reminds me of all of the parents who say, when your child gets a tooth, they spike a fever. And then all the doctors say, that's not true, it's just not true. But every single parent knows that's true. And now that I'm a parent, I know that is true. Every single time in the first year that my child was getting a tooth, a fever came along with it.
Okay, so she said this before, and we've pushed back on it, but it obviously bears repeating. An actual fever over 100 degrees Fahrenheit is not normal during teething. In the link stack are 2 articles that discuss this. But basically, Candace's son getting a fever every time he got a new tooth in is a sign of a serious infection.
Yeah.
I really hope that kid turns out okay. Both of those articles cover this, and both say basically the same thing, with further sources to back them up. Again, fevers over 100 degrees Fahrenheit during teething are a warning sign, and a doctor should be consulted. And I'll add to that, too. Neither you nor your siblings ever experienced that.
No.
That wasn't a thing. And we were so careful, especially with you. We were not above taking you to the hospital. We had a really good one nearby. Mm-hmm. We were not above taking you to the hospital for problems. St. Vincent's Hospital in Jacksonville. Can't recommend it highly enough. Those people are awesome. Funny story, too, about St. Vincent's. Totally unrelated.
Yeah.
But I used to go to a martial arts school that was just up the street from there. Mm-hmm. And it was a serious, it was like, I've explained it to people before. It would have been as if Terry Crews ran the Cobra Kai dojo.
Yeah.
And, because our teacher had no problem going hard, but he was lovable. He was totally cool guy. But, but hitting him was like we wore gloves, thank God, because hitting him was like hitting a brick wall. And we did full contact sparring.
Yeah.
And man, it was hardcore as hell, but we were literally like a few blocks from St. Vincent's. You could see the sign for St. Vincent's from our front door, which was useful because any given week, people from outside the school, like people from other martial arts schools, would come in and want to spar or fight with us.
Yeah.
The 90s were wild. And in a lot of cases, they would get hauled out by either us if they came in solo, which was stupid. You don't go to someone else's territory alone.
No.
But in a lot of cases, we would send guys out, and sometimes our guys would have to escort or carry the person, the idiot. We had them sign waivers. I was always careful about that.
Oh, yeah.
We'd take them down to St. Vincent's. Well, I wound up teaching years later.
Yeah.
And some of the guys that I wound up teaching had been orderlies at that hospital at that time. And, I was talking with them one day after class, and they were asking me different stuff about it. And I told them, about my teacher and everything. And they said, "Oh my God, we're learning that?" And I was like, what is, explain to me? And they said, "Yeah, look, when we were orderlies down at the hospital, all we knew about this style was that there was a school up the street, and you didn't go in there with an attitude because you were going to wind up in the hospital with an attitude corrected." And I laughed. I was like, "Yeah, it's like that. I could have been involved in any of those by other fellow students could have been involved in any of those. I was like, I was like, I only went there once a week, but we had guys who went like hardcore. I only went there once a week because I was a kid and I was getting rides from my instructor, who his instructor ran the school. And then when I was able to drive, I was going like 2-3 times a week.
Yeah.
But they were like, yeah, no, like all that we knew about that place was that like that's where you go to get your attitude adjusted. I was like, okay, all right. I was like, they're not wrong, you know. I was like, that happened a lot. And they're like, so what was the usual case? And I said, well, the usual case was somebody would hear about our school's reputation from somebody else, and they'd come in and they'd try to, you know, mess with our teacher, which is a bad move. Mm-hmm. Like, just from the aspect that he can take care of himself.
Yeah.
But also, we're all fiercely loyal.
Yeah.
So, you know, we would let people get a certain distance. It was a big school.
Yeah.
They could get a certain distance inside. Or if they came in and they were, you know, humble at first, they'd want to learn. They'd explain, you know, hey, I'm with this place, whatever, this style, this system. Okay. They'd want to learn, and we would engage them. We'd have a normal class. Mm-hmm. Well, normal classes always ended in like an hour to hour and a half to 2 hours of sparring.
Yeah.
Where everybody puts on serious gear. We all pair off. And then what would happen is, if they were an asshole, they would not understand that we were hitting hard, but we were pulling our punches.
Yeah.
We were trying to develop our skill, not just go wild.
Yeah.
You know, like this is your chance to try things out that you just learned and develop your skill. Maybe you can't pull that off, but this is your chance to find out, to train your body to do those motions, to do those motions of violence. You know, and these guys would not always understand that. Mm-hmm. And, you know, usually it was me, or one of the other people that our teacher wanted to become instructors. He would have us pair off with these noobs, and, you know, you get a guy who's swinging harder than he should, or, you know, he's clearly like, if he's come in from another system and he's explained that, he's going at it not quite in the right mindset.
Yeah.
And it's my job to pop him in the face and be like, hey man, calm down. Mm-hmm. Yes, I just hit you. You're going to get hit a lot more. I've been holding back. Calm the fuck down. Mm-hmm. This is your chance to try stuff, okay? If you can hit me, great. If not, well, learn.
Yeah.
This is how I learned. I came up in this style. This is what we do, you know. And, occasionally you get guys who just need to be taught a lesson in real time.
Yeah.
And, you'd hear the body hit the ground. There's an unmistakable sound of a human body dropping like a potato, dropping like a sack of potatoes onto a concrete floor with very thin carpet. Mm-hmm. That is an unmistakable noise, particularly if they've just been knocked out.
Yeah.
Now, depending on their state, we would usually pull them off to the side and let them kind of like wake up, and then tell them, okay, you've just suffered a concussion. We're going to walk with you down to the hospital. Yeah. And, you know, somebody would go with them. Usually not the person that knocked them out. That's a bad idea.
Yeah.
You know? But
that's how they end up at the hospital knocked out again, usually, I'm sure.
That's... I was told that only ever happened a few times, and the person walking with them, they'd be like, hey, Wade, you were the one that... You know, then they'd want to have a go at them again. Whereas you take someone who's a little more neutral, maybe a couple of guys who are a little more neutral, and you get them off, you know, on their way. But yeah, that was you'd hear the sound. I'll never forget the sound of just somebody just it's like, oh shit, you know. And then everybody stops what they're doing. We assess the situation.
Yeah.
Now, if it was one of our guys, if one of our guys, you know, knocked one of our guys out cold, we weren't so worried about them being violent. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we could assess it a little bit better. We had all been knocked out at one point.
Yeah, you
know, like that's just gonna happen. Mm-hmm. But Yeah, typically it was pull the person off to the side, let them kind of wake up, unless they don't look like they're waking up. Very rarely did we have to call an ambulance, because again, we're right down the road from the fucking hospital.
Yeah.
But yeah, these guys were like, oh shit, we're learning that system.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I mean, do you want to stop? They're like, no, this is awesome. It's like, okay, you know. They were, they were very cool guys. But, yeah, I mean...
The sound of somebody dropping to the ground, just... Your description of that reminded me of this video online that is... I feel like the camera's on the wrong training team. Because it's the Sifu clearly, like, going through the actions for an online sort of course.
Yeah.
And he's going through the actions of how you're supposed to grapple someone and then throw them.
Yeah.
Well, he's doing this, and he's got his other students behind him just doing their active, sparring or whatever.
Right.
Well, this one dude in the back, just this fucking hulking guy, you see him perform the grapple, and you hear a, ah! As the guy that he is grappling, he grapples, and you just see him fling him.
Yeah.
And he hits the wall with his back and falls to his head and collapses over.
Yeah.
Teacher does not stop what he is doing, but you see the other groups kind of like break up for a second and go, is he okay? And the big guy just goes, he's fine. And grabs him and starts dragging him. And the dude's just like, let me go, please. Just panicking for his life.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, here's the thing, right? When you get knocked out in a violent situation, I mean, even in a controlled violent situation, like a sparring session, when you get knocked out, it's really dangerous to have other people right there when you wake up, because the last thing your brain saw, the last thing that it knew was happening was violence.
Yeah.
You could always tell when someone woke up. That's another unmistakable sound. It's this intake of air, sometimes a curse word. This intake of air and just... and they come alive in a way that is undescribable otherwise. Like, and again, anybody nearby would like stop and be like, are you okay? Like, we all understood, if you're not okay, it's fine to be a man about it and say so. Otherwise, just sit there, stay awake, say if anything fucked up happens, we'll get you down the street.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, like, it's an unmistakable noise when someone falls and when they wake up. And yeah, like, it was really common we'd have like a kicking shield put by these guys. So it was really common for them to just strike out. The last thing you want them to do is strike out and again hit the concrete floor.
Yeah.
You really want them to like strike and hit the bag.
Yeah.
Because the bag is a lot softer. They strike out and hit the bag, and then like they'd blink a bunch and like kind of come alive. But yeah, no, that was god awful rough on like anybody that it happened to. Usually, whoever was their partner that knocked them out would be off to the side, kind of waiting. And I mean, but we were all very cool with each other about it, and our teacher was cool as well. A lot of times, he was the cause. Like that, he was the cause a lot of times. But you'd have guys that got like knocked out cold within the school. That like I said, we kind of knew what was up. But for people that were outside of it, if they woke up, we'd take them down. If they didn't wake up, they were breathing, we'd take them down.
Yeah.
It would just take, 4 of us. But, yeah, no, like, shit happens, man.
I could only imagine being a new orderly to that hospital, standing in the emergency room discussing something, and then the experienced one who's showing you around, you just see 4 guys in fucking dojo gear drop off a dude and then walk out and just, oh, another one. What the fuck do you mean another one? There's a
Pretty
dojo down
much.
the road. Don't
Yeah.
worry about it.
Yeah.
They bring their guys in.
Yeah. Get him to triage. Let's figure this out. Yeah. So here's the next clip.
God, I forgot we
Well,
were doing
similarly
this.
can be said by those of us who say, I've only ever had the flu when I get the flu shot, right? I have said this since I was a child. I'm honestly, growing up, the only time that I've ever gotten the flu has been when I have gotten a flu shot. I don't know what it is about the flu shot, but every time I get it, I get the flu very shortly thereafter. And recently, I had to get shots to go to Africa. This was about, I think it was about maybe 4 years ago. And I sat down with my doctor, this Romanian guy in Philadelphia, great guy. He said, you really should get the flu shot. I said, I have not had that shot in 15 years, and I have not had the flu in 15 years. I don't want the shot. Leave me alone. And he said, no. If you're going to Africa, you should really for this year get the flu shot. And that's a conspiracy theory. When you get the flu shot, you don't get the flu. It's dead. It's what they're putting in your arm is completely dead. It cannot become reactive. Blah blah blah. I promise you, I got that flu shot, and 2 months later, and this was in the year that my husband and I were getting married, I almost died. I legitimately almost died. I've never been so sick in my entire life. So this was early 2019, and I actually don't even know how I survived it. And I was in my bed. I couldn't have a single light on. I couldn't have any sound on. Everything felt like it was penetrating through my body. I was vomiting upward, like The Exorcist. And my husband at the time was living in England, and I had my assistant call him because I couldn't be anywhere near a phone. It physically hurt. Any lights physically hurt. And she told him to hop on a plane because I was that sick. And he jumped on a plane and got here the next morning because I thought I was going to die. Until my fever broke, I honestly thought I was going to die. I was too sick and too weak to even make it to the hospital, and it terrified me. And I said, "That's it." I hadn't done it in 15 years. Got the flu shot. Suddenly, almost died a couple of weeks thereafter, and I have sworn off the flu shot. So I don't care if it's conspiracy theory. You can go and you can look at my medical records. Candace has only ever gotten the flu when she gets the flu shot. Okay, so that's my anecdotal science.
Yeah, naturally, Candace isn't out there releasing her medical records.
Of course.
But I looked into what the incidence of people getting the flu post-flu shot in 2019 was, and this was entirely possible. I narrowed it down to about what she said. Roughly 2 months after getting a flu shot and traveling abroad, and the numbers were the same as if she had stayed stateside. But the effectiveness against influenza A was about 30 to 47%, and the effectiveness on influenza B was about 45 to 50%. In the link stack are the numbers from the CDC for United States flu data for 2019 through 2020. I can't speak, of course, to what else she said about nearly dying from it, or her husband hopping on a jet to see his fiancée in her possible last moments on this planet, but seeing as how he was ready to jump on a plane to smoke cigars with his friends in Rome and discuss the conclave with his friends who still work at the Daily Wire, a place that supposedly fired his wife for being herself, I just have to say that I doubt the love in this relationship.
Yeah.
Because he was planning on doing that, according to her, around the time that she was due to give birth to their fourth kid.
Yeah.
So, that is also in the link stack, and I've screenshotted the post as well, should she ever take it down. Yeah. Yeah. Ugh. God. Next. OAS.
Now jumping into the flu shot, which children have to get over and over and over again. I first want to make it clear that they even tell you, the flu shot, it's not 100% effective, and we're guessing every year of what the strain is going to be, and it could be maybe 10% effective. I've heard 7% effective, 15% effective. Well, I want to introduce you to a medical term that's really important, because you've heard people say that when you keep reintroducing more boosters and more doses of something, it actually weakens the immune system. It's actually not good, and those individuals become more susceptible to future strains of the virus than people that have never had the shot. And that actually is a theory that has been posited since the 1960s, and it is referred to as original antigenic sin. So that's OAS for short, original antigenic sin. And I'm going to pull this up, of course, trusted sources only from the NIH.gov website, where they talk about exactly what happens here. So it says original antigenic sin implies that when the epitope varies slightly, then the immune system relies on memory of the earlier infection. Don't worry, I'm going to put this in plain speak after, rather than mount another primary or secondary response to the new epitope, which would allow faster and stronger response. So essentially, is talking about your immune system's memory, right? So if you are at first introduced via vaccine to the flu, right, it is saying that your body will store that immune system response. Whatever you had in that office, your immune system response that it mounted, it will remember that. It's immunological memory. And so then if a different strain, if the strain slightly varies in the next season, your body will not only be more susceptible to receiving that strain, but it will mount its original response to that strain, which can be completely ineffectual. And so it's actually, there's so many articles that talk about this, and you should look them up in your spare time. I'll link a few of them, but Original Antigenic Sin suggests that actually you're weakening people when you keep introducing them to all of these boosters. You've heard this discussion during all of the COVID nonsense. That's actually not good to continually boost and boost and boost, and it makes those people more susceptible to, let's say, the Omicron variant. And that actually explains to me a lot as to why it is that so many people that I know that have received third booster, fourth booster seem to be so much worse hit by COVID. It's like they keep getting every single strand of COVID over and over and over again. And I'm going, when I got COVID, it was nothing. And that might be because I had no vaccines inside of me. So I had not established that original antigenic sin, and my body just was fighting it, purely fighting it. And so this is a really interesting theory, which was first proposed by Thomas Francis Jr. in 1960, and it is something that I believe is absolutely happening, and it is the reason why I think that people should stay away from flu shots. Again, personal opinion, I'm not a doctor, but I just know what my personal experience has been, and I'm just here to talk about my personal experience, and I'm here to hear about your personal experiences, and we're giving this to our children, multiple doses of the flu shot over and over again, and I do think that it could be contributing to a lot of illnesses.
Okay.
Did she...
Yeah, go ahead.
That last little bit there, she was doing her usual. Did she say she's there to hear about her viewers' experiences too?
Yes.
And yet at the top of the episode, she said that she was not here to hear people's personal experiences that contradict what she's talking about.
Yeah. Yep. It's the classic, you're learning from me and I'm learning from you. Alex Jones does that a lot.
See, there's a correct way to go about that, I feel, which is not by saying, oh, I'm here to hear all my viewers' experiences. No, I'm here to hear about my viewers' experiences who have dealt with something similar to me.
Yeah.
And I would like to, get in contact with these people to know more about this thing. Now, that would show actual care.
Yeah.
But it would save her from the contradiction that was the start of this episode and now the wherever this is in the episode.
The thing is, right, I think I care more about her listeners due to the fact that I will contact them directly over DM on Reddit and be like, hey, she lies. I run this podcast, and I will try to, give them a short statement, short but sweet, and open a dialogue.
Yeah.
Now, one guy asked me for something recently, and I answered, and he goes, just because Candace is against the Gaza stuff doesn't make her anti-Semitic. Bye. And I was like, and I engaged with that a little bit. I pushed back. He didn't block me.
Yeah.
But I did engage with that. And I was like, yeah, okay. Like, you're going to take that angle on it. But then this same person goes into the Candace group, gets no interaction from anybody, and asks a valid question about her bullshit on something else. And it's like, not only are they not answering, I'm the only person that reached out to him in the first place.
Yeah.
So, who's more well-placed to deal with these people? Mm-hmm. The person running the thing, the ultra fans that will boot anyone for saying anything negative about her, or the dude who has nothing to sell running a podcast critical of her.
Yeah, a free critical podcast.
Yeah, So, let's talk about OAS, Original Antigenic Sin. So she started off actually saying the right things here. And then her lack of reading comprehension kicked in. So, OAS, and I will be linking to an NIH page that explains it further in better detail, but it comes down to, say, getting the COVID vaccine. You're good. And then the virus mutates, and your original level of protection is what your body uses to fight the new strain if you catch it. It isn't too far mutated and you don't have the latest vaccine update or booster, then all you have is what you started with as protection. You're not unprotected, but you're protected less. In terms of software, like video game, you have armor level 1. Mm-hmm. And that can protect you until armor level 2 is needed, but even then, level 1 is better than nothing. But the major concern regarding OAS is mentioned in the NIH article, that original flu strains identified in the 1930s, in which chicken eggs were used to incubate the vaccine. It was found that by the 1940s, those were largely ineffective against new strains of the flu caught by people that had been inoculated previously. The flu had mutated past the point of the original vaccine's effective barrier. So we saw this also with COVID. Mm-hmm. When the Omicron and the later strains had been identified, boosters have been made to help fight against those. We may not be able to stay ahead of the virus, but we have the technology to keep pace or to not be very far behind.
At least not be buried by it.
Or we did have the tech for it. RFK Jr. has ended research into mRNA vaccines at the CDC and other agencies. All of that hard work is gone. All of the people working on that shit are basically out of jobs. They're going to go to other countries and develop them there. Mm-hmm. So now, man, who knows what the fuck will happen. But before our mRNA, OAS was always a concern when developing new vaccines. Because if something mutated past a certain point, and a new vaccine could not be created in time, people with the original vaccines could be at higher risk of infection if their bodies were fighting the infection based on old data, or bad intel, as it were. Like preparing to fight horses when the enemy has tanks and planes.
Yeah.
So, but what Candace and people that are like her, what they fail to realize is that the boosters exist solely to manage the risk of OAS. As for what she said about kids getting flu shots, kids are not required to get flu shots in any district that I could find in America. All other shots, MMR, polio, Tdap, of course, but flu shots are not a universal requirement anywhere for school-age children in America. They can be given for infants, and now Candace is going to get into the details. I want to remind everyone that one of the titles of this show was The Pros and Cons of Getting Induced. As of this season, right now, there are 5 different options for children's aged 6 months to 35 months, And those are Afluria, FluArix, Flucelvax, Flulaval, and Fluzone.
How floozy.
Right. Fluzone, I think they really missed they could have made it sound even more pretentious. Yeah, I'm gonna give I'm gonna give little Reginald here some Fluzone. How about some Flazone? Like something. God,
if I was a doctor, I'd so just have to fight the urge to punch somebody if they said, I would like some Fluzon, unless they were actually French.
Right.
Then I'd forgive
them. Well,
them.
that one is new to the list, and it wasn't available in 2022, per my research. I've included the FDA inserts from the ones that were available. And now, we're going to take a fucking journey. I've been so looking forward to this.
Speaking of the flu shot and what is in this vaccine that they are going to give to your infant and tell you that your infant must have, first off, you should know that the tetanus toxoid is in this, and the tetanus toxoid can cause an anaphylactic reaction. So when you first take a look at these FDA documents, you will see that it keeps talking about if you've previously had an anaphylactic reaction, you shouldn't be getting the shot to any tetanus toxoid and blah, 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 blah.
Guess how many of these contained tetanus toxoid as part of the formulation?
0.
That's right. Remember, I said there were 4 available.
Yeah.
None. Not a single fucking one.
Has tetanus toxoid in it.
Other countries use other flu shot formulations. Now, guess how many of those use tetanus toxoid in their formulas?
Maybe one.
No.
Oh.
None. None in the entire fucking world that are flu shots use tetanus toxoid. So I thought this sounded odd when she said it, and I looked through every one of the inserts and I didn't see this. So I pulled up the video. Because I was like, what fucking insert is she reading from?
Yeah.
Now, on the video in past episodes, she has a projector behind her where the audience watching can see the vaccine insert. Now, you probably saw a little bit of that in the screenshot that I showed you.
Is that what that was in the behind her?
Yeah.
That?
Now,
okay.
Hold on. I'm going to show that shot to you again. I kept it ready right here.
Okay.
Okay, now let me see if I can just enlarge it. Okay. Now, I have enlarged this. All right. Please tell me, Kitty, please tell me if you can see on here anything.
Not a damn thing. Well, I mean, I can...
You can kind of see, you can kind of make out some words.
I can make out precaution, and that's it.
Yeah.
If that's even precaution.
It's super zoomed in.
Yeah.
Okay, it's super zoomed in. Now, I slowed it down. When I was looking at the original video, I slowed it down. Like I went down to the the sound was
Yeah, you were looking at frame rate at that point, yeah.
Yeah. And I was looking to see if at any point I could figure out what vaccine she was fucking reading from.
Mm-hmm.
I could not. All I could figure out at the very end was that there was definitely an IX. So I went looking for those, right? There are several vaccines, such as Fanrix, which is a Tdap shot, which has the fucking tetanus toxoid in it.
Yeah.
But in Fanrix, the print on it, even the 2022 version, did not match up. So it wasn't in Fanrix. There are other ones, such as Pediorix.
Yeah.
Looked that one up. Also a no. I looked up international versions because occasionally you can get international vaccines in America if there's a need.
Yeah.
Went to the 2022 inserts for those.
Mm-hmm.
Official FDA inserts. No. There was 3 others that the FDA would allow you to get that were international. The 2 that had IX in their titles did not match up to what was on screen. The 3rd one did not match up to what was on screen, and it did not have an IX. And I was like, what the fucking fuck is this? Candace, now I believe this is why the links aren't available for the general public.
Yeah.
Someone in her team said, oh shit, we fucked up. Or they pulled the insert from another site entirely.
Yeah.
Because nowhere in any of these are the words tetanus, toxoid found. I went through online sources to try and find, like from her fan pages, to try to find where this came from. I got nothing. I got absolute fuck all. She reads from the wrong damned insert that may have been fake.
So...
Uh-huh.
You know what I love about having glasses now? I can be like... It helps emphasize the dramatics when my eye starts fucking twitching from stupidity. So, she read a likely fake insert for a tetanus thing. Because that should be the only thing that has tetanus toxoid in it, right?
It should not be in flu shots whatsoever. There's no cause for it. Yeah.
So she read a likely fake thing that's likely meant for tetanus, and rather than just take the L and reshoot, she chose to keep what she had spewed.
Yeah.
And post it.
Yeah. This may be why.
This may be
why there were no episodes after this on Daily Wire.
I mean, I could see where Daily Wire would go, okay, we gotta,
Yeah.
But, like, we've already got a problem with her misspreading information, but at least the shit she's misspreading is,
Yeah.
There's something
to, yeah. There's something to back it up.
But
like, we can see where she gets from A to B, but this,
This doesn't
she went
exist.
from A to S, and...
Which might be why the fuck that's so fuzzy.
Yeah.
Because
I believe it is. I believe that it is so zoomed in because she doesn't tell you which of the 4 vaccines she's looking at. Mm-hmm. Whereas in previous episodes, she has said, we're looking at this one because it's the one that's most likely going to be given to your kid, or she'll say it's the only one that's given to your kid, even though I go and look into it and there's, sometimes 2 or 3 options.
Yeah, because you never know what somebody's allergic or whatever their situation
is. Or
is.
there's just, one is available in Arizona and one is available in Florida.
Yeah, for whatever.
And there's no real reason because they're all approved.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no reason aside from, like, the distance and whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or even down to doctor preference of things.
Yeah, if a doctor's like, well, in this office, I only want to give out this one because I trust it. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no telling.
Like, I got injected with this one when I was little. It did the work. Little Jimmy down the road, he got injected with the other one. He still got sick, so...
Yeah.
I'm going to trust the one that worked for me when I was a kid.
Yeah, like, that kind of thing. Like,
it could why little Jimmy's such the victim every time I tell something.
Fuck little Jimmy.
Little Jimmy and
Jimmy
little
Neutron, boy, genius my ass.
Little Jimmy and little Timmy are always the 2 victims. And they always grew up into being mobsters for some reason.
If Jimmy Neutron was really smart, he wouldn't have that doofy haircut. It looks like he got swirlied off camera every single day.
But I mean, he probably did get swirlied.
Mm-hmm. And he could build a death ray?
He could build the death ray.
No, a smart child like that does not have bullies. They're too afraid.
He also accidentally sent his best friend to Mars, who then went from being, well, I gotta get back to Earth to... Nah, screw it, I got a 3-titty alien girlfriend, I'm gonna just stay here.
Right.
He landed, had the way back home, and just went, nah. And then about halfway into the series, Jimmy Neutron shows up and goes, hey, I'm here to take you back to Earth. And he goes, I don't want to go back to Earth. These people think I'm a hero.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I dropped a house on their wicked witch, man. Leave me alone.
Yeah.
So... Yeah, so I went on to say here, like I said, I pulled up the video. It's way too focused in to be any good. Mm-hmm. I saw what I thought was Infanrix, so I had to assume that was what she was going with. And we've linked to Infanrix in past episode on the Tdap shot, so I didn't see the need to put it into the link stack because it's not entirely clear what she's reading from. Mm-hmm. And also... If it's not entirely clear, I don't want to present it as a possible source.
Oh, yeah.
But, as I said, the 4 that would have been available, their inserts are in there. Not a single fucking one has tetanus toxoid in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so... Anyway, anaphylaxis is a known, possible, and extremely rare side effect of any of the vaccines listed. But in the case of flu shots... Any of them, it is extremely rare, at the rate of less than 1 per 1 million people dosed. So the per capita on that is 10.
0.10?
0.10 people
get
anaphylaxis from a flu shot.
Shit, that's pretty good odds.
Yeah. So letting her continue. Keep in mind that she is reading from either Infanrix or Pediorix from what I could tell. But it is definitely not reading from any of the 4 available flu shot inserts from that year.
Personally, when you're first saying that there's even a risk that my child could have an anaphylactic reaction to getting a vaccine, I'm okay, because I don't know many people that children at least that have gotten the flu and not survived it. I definitely had it a couple of times when I was a child, but the idea of this really scares me. So you will see that also annotated under the post-marketing experience, which is where I always jump to, which is obviously parents that have been talking about what has happened to their children after getting a certain shot. So you'll see that it has allergic reactions listed, and also nervous system disorders, convulsions with or without fevers, hypotonic, hyporesponsive episodes, the sudden onset of hypotonia, hyporesponsiveness, and cyanosis, somnolence, syncope, I hope I'm saying that right,
Syncope.
Response to injection. So again, that's under 6.2, and I think it's really important, and apnea, by the way. I think it's really important that when you examine this, and we link these so that you can actually look through it, because it's very difficult for whatever reason. It's illegal for your doctor to give you these FDA inserts.
No, it is not illegal for a doctor to give you the inserts, and they're probably going to give you the right fucking inserts rather than whatever bullshit she pulled up.
Okay, I know what heat syncope is, but what is the type of syncope she's referring to?
Basically, it's exactly what she claims to have experienced.
Okay.
Where it's fainting after injection.
Okay, so pretty much the same thing as heat
yeah.
syncope, which is fainting due to heat stroke, essentially.
Yeah.
Okay.
But she made it more personal and less believable when it went from syncope, which would not necessarily be reported to VAERS.
Yeah.
She made it bullshit by claiming that she seized up.
Yeah.
That she went into convulsions and seizures and shit.
That's not syncope, no.
No, that's not syncope. That would have been reported.
Yeah.
So I maintain that shit never happened to her.
Yeah.
But yeah. And also, anyone who had been through that should know the fucking word.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, well,
like, I called it syncope for the longest time because I was like, I don't think... But it didn't sound right.
Yeah.
It's syncope. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's one of those fucking... God. I knew a few people back when I worked fast food and went in fucking Florida.
Yeah.
And when I worked there, I knew a few people who, you know, it was just at the beginning of COVID when I got my job.
Yeah.
Like, first day I'm told, hey, I know this wasn't dress code when you were coming down here, but if you could pick up a mask on your way here, it's dress code now. And I'm like, well, fuck. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
And I get there, and, you know, dealing with all those people, and then we go through the period where, you know, there's no shot yet, then there is a shot. You get the shot, you're fine, and then they finally open it up for my age bracket at the time.
Yeah.
And, you know, a few of the other teenagers and a few of the adults there all got it. Well, we all eventually got it, but a few of them started getting it. And some of the teenagers and some of the adults were like, yeah, man, I like, my legs got really light after they injected me with it, and I got really lightheaded, and my brain's thinking, well, man, I want to call them bitches, but I haven't gotten injected yet, so I don't know if, you know, that's maybe just a side effect.
Yeah.
And then you had me go through about of 4 in one arm, 3 in the other.
On the same day.
Yeah, and then I go into work later that day.
Yeah.
And they're just like, hey man, are you doing okay? I'm like, yeah, doing great. Then one of them's like, yeah, I got my COVID shot yesterday, and I feel so faint. And I'm like, oh, boo-hoo. And they're like, yeah, my arm's like super sore. Why are you being so condescending? Motherfucker. I just had 4 in one, 3 in the other.
And then I gotta go back for my COVID.
Yeah. I gotta go back for my COVID. And I went back for the COVID, and I didn't feel any of that faintness.
Yeah.
And I was like, are people just not... Do their bodies not...
You know, I mean, well, that's the thing, is getting shot up with any vaccine affects everybody differently.
Yeah.
But there's a general range of normal symptoms. And syncope on any vaccine
is a
normal thing. Yeah, like you'll even hear it on the ads for stuff.
Yeah.
Like as a side effect when they're going through all of the most horrible shit.
Yeah.
Syncope falls in on most of these ads that I've heard.
Yeah, and syncope is usually tied to shock. Like, you usually have syncope before you have shock.
Yeah.
You get all faint, and then it's part of your down slope.
But that's also why, like, when you get a vaccine, they're supposed to give you a 10 to 15 minute period in a chair with a back. so that, you have a thing, you're not just standing up and expected to go.
Yeah, which is
like even when I got my COVID shots.
Yeah.
Obviously, like every adult in my age bracket wanted to get theirs, so
yeah,
I had gotten mine scheduled, and I went in, and the CVS that I was at had easily a dozen chairs, and the pharmacist was coming by and giving everybody their shots and just telling everybody, like, okay, after we do this, and she told it to everybody, like, just matter of course, like, every single one of us she came to. She said, okay, after you get the shot, please stay seated as long as you need, but you should know about 5 to 10 minutes in if you need to stay seated, or if you can get up. If you feel lightheaded at all, let us know. We're trained to take care of this, but you're probably going to be okay. But just so you know, do not get up immediately. And I got my shot at the same time as this lady that was sitting across from me. And we're both like just fucking around on our phones. And I was like, oh, well, 8 minutes. I feel okay. And she's like, I do too. So she got up first and she left. And then I gave it a couple more minutes. I gave it like to 13 minutes or whatever. And I was like, I feel fine.
Yeah.
And I got up and then went back a couple weeks later and got the next one. And then, I was done. Like, I got that next one and I only gave it like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I was like, well, I don't feel fucky. I'm going to leave. Someone else can have this chair.
Yeah. Well, I do remember that the one thing that happened after it, at least for Ma and siblings, was because they'd all gotten theirs, I think, on the same day.
Yeah, I scheduled theirs,
Yeah. They went down, actually, I don't think, did my brother ever get it?
I don't know.
Okay. Well, anyways, the two of them at least.
Yeah.
When they came home, they sat down and they're like, yeah, I feel fine. The arm's a little sore, but that happens every time.
And then metal just got shoved in with a liquid,
And then they turned on one of their crime shows, and both of them at the exact same time just out like lights.
Yeah.
And then 4 hours later, they woke up from the groggiest sleep they'd had.
Yeah.
Because they both just conked out in the most uncomfortable position.
Yeah.
And they're like, man, I've never just out. And I was like, yeah. I turned around and y'all were just snoring.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, I was working that day. I went in the middle of my work day. And I kept it easy on myself because I was like, well, I don't want to be, like, doing shift and then pass out.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem like it's going to be a good idea.
No.
But, yeah, I didn't feel any of that. Some people did. Other people had, problems, but almost everyone that I spoke with did not really have any problems. But,
no.
As I was saying, it's illegal. It's not illegal for a doctor to give you any inserts. And they actually do have to print them out if requested. That said, the shit that she is reading from, which she did not link to publicly, is not available. As I said, because I think she was reading from some quack shit.
Yeah.
That is my belief because, I scrolled through the jumbled shit she showed. As I said, I cross-referenced it with vaccine inserts, also available on the FDA sites. Nothing matched, including the ones that I determined she could have been reading from, such as Infanrix, Pediarix, and Kinrix. I forgot about Kinrix. I'm glad I wrote it down. Infanrix and Pediarix mention each other in the inserts, which is why I went there first.
Yeah.
I could not figure this out. But in any case, no single insert was or is unavailable to see ever.
No.
This act of putting herself up on a pedestal for the pay pigs really does piss me off. I want to remind y'all before the next clip, not a single flu shot administered anywhere on Earth at any time ever contained or contains tetanus toxoid.
You also have under warnings and precautions under segment 5, Guillain-Barré syndrome, which is crazy that would be listed, and it's saying if, again, that's something that could have happened from having received a previous tetanus toxoid containing vaccine. It begs the question, if this shot contains the tetanus toxoid, then why are we reintroducing it almost immediately after getting the T-TAP shot? Are we giving them something that, again, contains a tetanus toxoid inside of it, completely overwhelming the system? But it says to be careful. The consideration to give this vaccine should be based on careful consideration of the potential benefits and the possible risks. And that's just not something that you ever hear when you go into a doctor's office. You don't ever hear a benefit risk discussion. It is just so mandated. You should get this. If you don't get this, you're a bad parent. This is what we know that you're supposed to give. This is what's on the schedule. I have so many people that have been writing to me saying that, well, my pediatrician, I've set my mind that I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to stick to the schedule. And my pediatrician is saying that they're going to make me leave the office. That's a threat. That's not science. That's a threat. If your pediatrician is saying you can't be here unless you conform, that's not practicing medicine.
Yes, it is. Because the doctor has to look out for and consider the health needs of other patients. A patient presenting with some shit they could have been vaccinated against in the same room with an immunocompromised person presents a risk to the immunocompromised patient, particularly if that patient cannot get a vaccine. Doctor organizations have cautioned against doctors dismissing patients in years past, but have also realized that this may be the only way to deal with those kind of patients or their families. Next, Candace shows that she really has no empathy inside her for other people.
And I do want to debunk the idea, while we're talking about that, of public health. I hate hearing this term. There is no such thing as public health, okay? There is personal health. We are different. If you are watching this, you and I do not have the same body. We do not have the same needs. We do not have the same reactions to various things. The idea that our government is trying to make us believe that health is a community issue, we're all in this together. We all should be posting images on Facebook and Instagram saying that we got vaccinated. We're all holding hands. We're all suffering at home together as we stayed locked down. It's brainwash. It's simple brainwash. If you are actually seeing a doctor, a real doctor, they are examining you and looking at you as an individual. They are considering your history, your diet, your past reactions, your body type, right? I mean, how big are you? Are you a premature baby? Are you a baby that suffered through gestational diabetes?
Babies do not suffer from gestational diabetes. Their mothers do.
Yeah.
The infant may be at risk of certain factors. Yeah.
I didn't fully absorb that.
Yeah. Yeah, she said it right there at the end.
God.
The infant themselves may be at risk of certain factors, or they may be overly large or born prematurely. All kinds of things. But no infant is born with gestational diabetes. For someone flaunting her golden uterus to the world, she is stupefyingly ignorant in ways that continue to surprise even me.
God.
Next clip.
Are you a child of somebody that has asthma? Are you a child of somebody that had cancer? That is how medicine should be looked at, on an individual basis. And the idea that they can just blanket assign all of these vaccines and say, oh, there's just no way. There's just no way that this individual had a reaction because this individual didn't have a reaction is complete foolishness, okay? What we are looking at, again, is a drug cartel. We are looking at people that see your children as a means to ensure themselves profits, trillions of dollars of profits for many years to come unless we wake up to it. And to those parents, by the way, that have written to me and have said to me, Candace, I'm going through this, and the pediatrician said that they're going to kick me out of the office. You kick them out first. Say, bye, I don't need to be here. And I know, especially if you're a first-time mother and listening to this, that seems really hard, because when my pediatrician back in DC said, well, if you don't stick to the schedule, we can't have you in this office at all. I remember feeling that apprehension and thinking to myself, wow, am I really going to do this? Am I just going to just not have this pediatrician and not go to the doctor? And what I found was that my child was healthy. What I found was that creating a community of mothers was easier. First and foremost, your child will never be denied at the emergency room if you have insurance. So if you're ever facing an emergency, you can go to the emergency room. If you're not facing an emergency room, you can probably find the answers to your most basic questions by talking to mothers. Trust me when I say they have been way more educated than my pediatrician on so many topics. The first time Georgie got sick, and I put that in quotation marks, is when he had a fever. And I went, oh my gosh, I should take him to the pediatrician. What's going on? And of course, I told you earlier, the housekeeper said to me, "Oh no, Candace, she's just teething. You can tell by the fact that he's drooling." I mean, the wisdom that we have as mothers, we shouldn't be. Our first instinct shouldn't be, "Oh my gosh, let me just ask the doctor what's going on," because if you have a lot of mothers in your circle, they've probably already seen it. And I have not had to take my son to the pediatrician, so there hasn't been an incident where I needed to rush him to the pediatrician to see what was going on. Thankfully, he's been tremendously healthy, and we've had whatever it was at home to take care of him. And I, of course, would not have blinked twice if I thought that I had to race and get him to the emergency room, but we just have not yet been put in that predicament.
Okay, I am pretty sure this is a lie, so I went back on previous show scripts. I couldn't find anything, so I'm letting it go for now. I think it was just my knee-jerk reaction to a long day of going through this episode and, life, and wanting to call out anything she would say.
Yeah.
That is usually my signal to call it a night and pick things back up the next day. I included this because I wanted to let you all know that I go through it too. I try to approach her work with an open mind, but when I find myself closing off, I step away and I return fresh the next day. It's not always easy, especially when I've caught her going through a massive set of lies based on intentionally obscuring a document that is the wrong one entirely for information that she is supposed to be presenting in a factual manner. But I can't betray the search for truth like that. So I stepped away after this clip and came back in the next day. And then next, not a Dr. Candace gives some of the worst advice that anyone could possibly give to confused parents outside of telling them to listen to her bullshit in the first place.
So I think I just want to remind you that the reason why you're super afraid to walk away from your pediatrician is because your friends that are on the vaccine schedule are going in for, an appointment every couple of months, and you think that that's normal. But in reality, at these wellness visits, they're making their kids sick and bringing them home. You will find, if you decide not to vax your child, that you don't have many reasons to bring them to the pediatrician. My main reason was simply to weigh my son, who I just weighed, by the way, a couple of days ago. He's 25 pounds. I'm proud to announce that. I haven't known how much he's weighed. And he went to some place that had a scale, and it was like, "Oh, you're 25 pounds. I had no idea. I just was looking at you and going, you look healthy and you look okay." So you will develop confidence as time goes on, and you look at your child and you see how healthy they are. It's scary to not conform in the beginning, but then you are just the most confident person in the entire world, and I couldn't be more confident going into this second birth. Please just take the 5 seconds, become a monthly donor, support the show. It could be $1 a month, then maybe $12 per year, and it would be very helpful. So please take a visit to patreon.com. That's patreon.com, and you can find me. Just search Candace Owens, and it would be great if you could support.
I don't think she actually knows that her Patreon membership was never that low.
No.
I poked around various dark corners of her fandom. And it was always more money than that.
Yeah.
It has always been a minimum $20 per month. But her patrons at the $250 level went up from just one person when I started looking into it months back to 5 people currently with more money than sense.
God.
I've begun to think that she might really have no idea what her various membership costs have actually been. But back over to the bullshit she said first. If she isn't going to wellness visits to her concierge pediatrician for anything but a weigh-in, then why go at all?
Yeah.
Does she not have access to a scale for the kids?
I mean, I know it's frowned upon, but you could also always, just while you're at the supermarket, throw your kid into that little vegetable dish,
Or just, you're standing on the scale, well, I'm 208.
Yeah.
Pick up the kid. Okay, let's do the math. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, it's how we weigh the cats and shit.
Right? I mean, if you can't get the kid to stay on the scale long enough to get a reading, you pick him up with... This is not hard.
No.
I would think that her housekeeper that she relies on for everything would tell her that. It's fucking bullshit. That's what it is. It's fucking bullshit.
God. See, if she said that her housekeeper... I feel like it's just the fact that it's just her housekeeper, not like a trained servant.
Yeah.
That irks me so much about it.
Right.
Is, oh yeah, my housekeeper was doing the gardening and she said this. Like.
Yeah. Like. Yeah, I mean,
God, even so, I wouldn't trust somebody.
Yeah, just to like I said, and then she said in the clip too, oh yeah, this group of moms knows more than any pediatrician. I guarantee you that's a fucking lie.
Yeah.
I guarantee you they do not. Unless they happen to be, a pediatrician themselves, or, maybe married to one, or the child of one, or some shit.
God. Now,
even then, they're not going to know more than the person that literally went to school for that and specialized in it and has been in the field practicing medicine for any length of time.
The only time I would trust a group of mothers for child advice would be if at least one of them is a fucking pediatrician. And at that point, they're not giving me free advice.
Right?
Because they are off the clock, and unless they actually really like what they do, they're not just going to sit there on the street and go, hey, you might take your kid in for a checkup.
Maybe. A lot of people get into medicine. Maybe they get into it, like a lot of the people that I've talked to over the years that have been doctors or nurses or what have you. They may have gotten into it for the fact that, it can be a pretty steady paycheck and a pretty good paycheck. Mm-hmm. But that may have been their focus early on because, you're a young adult coming up. You want some stability, you want to live decently.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't want to live rich, but you want to live decently and have a good career that's in demand. Mm-hmm. Medicine's one of those, Yeah. Maybe they go into it with that practical mindset, but they're dealing with people every day. They're dealing with people sometimes at the worst stage of their lives.
Yeah.
There are heartless people in the field, of course, but a lot of the people are not.
Yeah.
They are not out to make a buck.
Yeah.
At the very least, a doctor might be interested in doing things that help keep his practice alive because he's got people that work under him. Mm-hmm. He's got bills to pay. He's got a rent.
Yeah.
He or she. Let's be fair. But, not all of them are heartless, soulless corporate shills.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people in the industry,
Which, being here, I've met a lot more polite people in that industry.
Oh, yeah.
Just like, I know at one point the cops here weren't a polite industry, but a lot of the cops that I've met here are very chill.
Yeah, they had a real reckoning.
Yeah.
They had a real reckoning after the George Floyd protests.
Nothing's funnier than dealing with a Brinks guy, though.
Yeah.
Because they'll just show up and go, yeah, here for the money. Yep, got the money. Mm-hmm. Yep, all right.
Yeah.
Like, am I the last store on your route? Yeah, and I want to get back to the fucking bank.
Yeah. So, but why take her kid to the doctor?
Yeah.
For this, she isn't going for vaccines. She doesn't want to take him when he gets a fever.
Yeah. Wants to trust the word of her house person.
And if the doctor tells her something good or crazy, she isn't going to do it, so why go at all?
Yeah.
Just more fucking absurd bullshit from the Queen of Lies. Now, it's time for viewer questions.
Oh, God.
All right, guys, jumping into some questions. I have 2 questions, and again, if you are a donor to the show, you have the potential to ask me questions that I can read on the show. So here we have one from Alex, and she writes, "Hi, Candace. I've been following your show, Shot in the Dark, since the beginning, as I, too, was researching all I could find for my 2 sons. I was hoping with talking about your birth story in the last episode, you might have information on large babies. My first son, I was induced at 40 weeks, and he weighed 8.12 pounds. That's not too big. My second son, I was induced at 39 weeks because he was measuring even larger and was born vaginally at 9.4 pounds. Wow, the big boy. Both were healthy and have thrived, but my concern is, why are they so large? I'm 5'4" and 120, and I eat a healthy whole food diet." I love this question. I think it's very cute. "All the information I find tells me I must be eating wrong, or I'm diabetic, or I do drugs, which none of these things are a factor. I want to try to find out why is this happening so I do not feel pushed to be induced use, but there is no research that I can find to help. Thanks for any advice if you happen to read this. So for my top tier Patreon donors, we do a monthly call, and there is a doctor that is on, which is so great and helpful because he answers so many questions, and he is a huge, I'm going to actually have him on in season 2, but he's a huge supporter of home births. And I've actually been taking in a ton of content on home births because as I told you guys last week, I'm working up the nerve to do it. And it's interesting that we have this idea that we can't birth babies that are 10 pounds. You can. There are people that have birthed babies that are 10 pounds when I read all of these stories and didn't even tear. With no medicine. Let's just imagine that, like 0 medicine, and they birthed at home in a bathtub, and their babies were 10 pounds. So that's the first thing that I want to say to you is how big is too big, I think is the first question to ask. The second question, I mean, I cannot give you an official answer. I'm reading it out loud because I know that a lot of doctors watch the show and nurses, and they will have answers potentially that they can throw into the comments that are super interesting. I love going on Parler and reading all of your comments after each episode. But my best guess is that you probably just make big boys. I mean, especially because they're sons. My boy was, he wasn't that big when he was born, but I feel like I ate so much more when I was pregnant with my son than I am eating now that I have a daughter. So I don't find these sizes to be problematic. I mean, 8.12 pounds, 9.4 pounds, not exactly, I mean, bigger, but they're not huge and completely out of the range that I've heard. I was an 8-pounder, by the way. I think I was 8.5 pounds. I gotta find that. But I love this question. I hope that on Parler, a doctor or somebody like the doctor that jumps on all of our monthly Patreon calls will be able to answer the question more efficiently for you. So I wanted to read it out loud.
Okay, so there is so much information to go through.
Yeah.
According to the Mayo Clinic, any baby over the size of 8 pounds 13 ounces is considered a fetal macrosomia, or a large baby at birth. Only about 9% of babies worldwide every year weigh more than that. And there are risks involved with this. You can click the link in the sources and read it yourself, or I can do it for you, and I will do that now. The term fetal macrosomia is used to describe a newborn who's much larger than average. A baby who is diagnosed as having fetal macrosomia weighs more than 8 pounds 13 ounces, or 4,000 grams, regardless of his or her gestational age. About 9% of babies worldwide weigh more than 8 pounds 13 ounces. Risks associated with fetal macrosomia increase greatly when birth rate is more than 9 pounds 15 ounces. Fetal macrosomia may complicate vaginal delivery and can put the baby at risk of injury during birth. Fetal macrosomia also puts the baby at increased risk of health problems after birth. Fetal macrosomia can be difficult to detect and diagnose during pregnancies. Signs and symptoms include large fundal height. During prenatal visits, your healthcare provider might measure your fundal height, the distance from the top of your uterus to your pubic bone. A larger than expected fundal height could be a sign of fetal macrosomia. Excessive amniotic fluid, also known as polyhydramnios. I'm a professional. Having too much amniotic fluid. The fluid that surrounds and protects a baby during pregnancy might be a sign that your baby is larger than average. The amount of amniotic fluid reflects your baby's urine output, and a larger baby produces more urine. Some conditions that cause a baby to be larger might also increase his or her urine output. So fundal height is the distance from the pubic bone to the top of the uterus measured in centimeters. After 24 weeks of pregnancy, fundal height often matches the number of weeks you've been pregnant. In polyhydramnios, excessive amniotic fluid accumulates in the uterus during pregnancy. Mild cases of polyhydramnios may go away on their own. Severe cases may require treatment. Causes: genetic factors and maternal conditions, such as obesity or diabetes, can cause fetal macrosomia. Rarely, a baby might have a medical condition that makes him or her grow faster and larger. Sometimes it's unknown what causes a baby to be larger than average. Risk factors. Many risk factors might increase the risk of fetal macrosomia. Some you can control, but others you can't. For example, maternal diabetes. Fetal macrosomia is more likely if you had diabetes before pregnancy, pregestational diabetes, or if you develop diabetes during pregnancy, which is gestational diabetes. If your diabetes isn't well controlled, your baby is likely to have larger shoulders and greater amounts of body fat than would a baby whose mother doesn't have diabetes. A history of fetal macrosomia. If you've previously given birth to a large baby, you're at increased risk of having another large baby. Also, if you weighed more than 8 pounds 13 ounces at birth, you're more likely to have a large baby. Maternal obesity. Fetal macrosomia is more likely if you're obese. Excessive weight gain during pregnancy. Gaining too much weight during pregnancy increases the risk of fetal macrosomia. Previous pregnancies. The risk of fetal macrosomia increases with each pregnancy. Up to the 5th pregnancy, the average birth weight for each successive pregnancy typically increases by up to about 4 ounces each time. Having a boy. Male infants typically weigh slightly more than female infants. Most babies who weigh more than 9 pounds 15 ounces are male. Overdue pregnancy. If your pregnancy continues by more than 2 weeks past your due date, your baby is at increased risk of fetal macrosomia. Maternal age is also a factor. Women older than 35 are more likely to have a baby diagnosed with fetal macrosomia. Fetal macrosomia is more likely to be a result of maternal diabetes, obesity, or weight gain during pregnancy than other causes. If these risk factors aren't present and fetal macrosomia is suspected, it's possible that your baby might have a rare medical condition that affects fetal growth. If a rare medical condition is suspected, lost my place. I am a professional. If a rare medical condition is suspected, your healthcare provider might recommend prenatal diagnostic tests and perhaps a visit with a genetic counselor, depending on the test results. Complications. Fetal macrosomia poses health risks for you and your baby, both during pregnancy and after childbirth. Maternal risks. Possible maternal complications of fetal macrosomia might include labor problems. Fetal macrosomia can cause a baby to become wedged in the birth canal, shoulder dystocia, which we talked about last week. It might also cause them to sustain birth injuries or require the use of forceps or a vacuum device during delivery. Or operative vaginal delivery. Sometimes a C-section is needed. Genital tract lacerations. During childbirth, fetal macrosomia can cause a baby to injure the birth canal, such as by tearing vaginal tissues and the muscles between the vagina and the anus, the perineal muscles. Also, bleeding after delivery. Fetal macrosomia increases the risk that your uterine muscles won't properly contract after you give birth, known as uterine atony. This can lead to potentially serious bleeding after delivery. Also, uterine rupture. If you've had a prior C-section or major uterine surgery, fetal macrosomia increases the risk of uterine rupture during labor, a rare but serious complication in which the uterus tears open along the scar line from the C-section or other uterine surgery. An emergency C-section is needed to prevent life-threatening complications. Newborn and childhood risks. Possible complications of fetal macrosomia for your baby might include lower than normal blood sugar level. A baby diagnosed with fetal macrosomia is more likely to be born with a blood sugar level that's lower than normal. Childhood obesity. Research suggests that the risk of childhood obesity increases as birth weight increases. Metabolic syndrome. If your baby is diagnosed with fetal macrosomia, he or she is at risk of developing metabolic syndrome during childhood. Metabolic syndrome is a cluster of conditions: increased blood pressure, high blood sugar level, excess body fat around the waist, and abnormal cholesterol levels that occur together, increasing the risk of heart disease, stroke, and diabetes. Further research is needed to determine whether these effects might increase the risk of adult diabetes, obesity, and heart disease. Prevention. You might not be able to prevent fetal macrosomia, but you can promote a healthy pregnancy. Research shows that exercising during pregnancy and eating a low glycemic diet can reduce the risk of macrosomia. For example, schedule a preconception appointment. If you're considering pregnancy, talk with your healthcare provider. If you're obese, you might also be referred to another healthcare provider, such as a registered dietitian or an obesity specialist, who can help you reach a healthy weight before pregnancy. Monitor your weight. Getting a healthy amount of weight during pregnancy, often 25 to 35 pounds, about 11 to 16 kilograms. If you have a normal pre-pregnancy weight, this supports your baby's growth and development. Women who weigh more when they get pregnant will have lower recommended pregnancy weight gain. Work with your healthcare provider to determine what's right for you. Manage diabetes. If you had diabetes before pregnancy or if you developed gestational diabetes, work with your healthcare provider to manage the condition. Controlling your blood sugar level is the best way to prevent complications, including fetal macrosomia. Finally, be active. Follow your healthcare provider's recommendations for physical activity. And that was just the overview.
God damn.
It goes on further to diagnosis and treatment, but we can stop there. I provided the link.
I think you've said fetal macrosomia enough.
More times than I thought I ever would before I got into this episode. I did not know that was a thing. Now I do. That's the benefit of doing this shit.
As that one meme goes with the shooting star, the more you know.
Yeah. That wasn't just a meme.
No?
Let me tell you a little bit about NBC shows.
Oh, God. Okay.
Okay. I didn't think we were going to have to get into this, but you mentioned it, so here we are.
Oh.
This is on you.
Okay.
All right. The More You Know program was a series of PSAs that were done by NBC, usually with stars from their shows. They really kind of started it with Friends, but they would also, I think, get people from Frasier and stuff. Mm-hmm. And it was these little, blurbs that would run during the commercial breaks of those shows. Or just shows on NBC, period. Let's say, fucking football.
Yeah.
And it would be some PSA about, smoking or something.
Okay. Yeah.
So you get, Jennifer Aniston or Matthew Perry or somebody, from Friends or Frasier or any number of shows. They would say something, about that or some social issue, and it would be some general, recognized good fact. Maybe people didn't know.
Yeah.
But it would be, the more you know. And it would be the NBC logo with the shooting star.
Yeah.
The more you know.
Okay.
And so those were turned into comedy.
Yeah.
Because it's a rich field.
Yeah.
And Saturday Night Live did a ton of them. Saturday Night Live ran on NBC. So they were making fun of their own network, self-referential comedy.
Yeah.
But now we're in the internet age, and you are well past the age of that shit. So you only know it as a meme.
As a meme, usually after a random-ass fact is given in the middle of something, and it's slapped with, the more you know.
Family Guy did a lot of those.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but like I said in the script here, we can stop there. Mm-hmm. Candace or her people could have had a better answer other than the bullshit she said about telling the woman that she was probably fine.
Yeah.
And I find it really hard to believe that the patron couldn't have Googled this herself. This is one of the things that I find infuriating about anyone that would say, pay to be a Patreon supporter of Candace and just willingly give her their ability to think and reason because she clearly is a poor steward of their intelligence. As for the doctor she mentioned that is part of her Patreon monthly call, she has said before in past episodes we've covered that man is retired and has been retired for many years.
Yeah.
In her past descriptions of him, his information has at best seemed out of date, so there is no telling what he is sitting there telling people that can afford to lose $250 per month 3 years ago. Mm-hmm. On to the second question of the episode.
Second question. This one is a little longer, She is at first, I'm going to just summarize here, she's at first just thanking me for my stance on vaccines and saying that she had a pregnancy that was pretty traumatizing. She still has nightmares with labor and delivery. And she also had a well visit, which took the cake and was also pretty traumatizing for her child. She said, I spent my entire pregnancy researching vaccines, wanting to make the best decision for me and my unborn son. Me and my fiance ultimately decided that we did not feel comfortable getting our son vaccinated. I will never forget the first wellness visit where the pediatrician made us feel like garbage for not wanting to vaccinate our son. She slammed the door in our face so we could talk it over and came back with a book on vaccines and why they are safe. Of course she did, because they're safe because she gets paid to give you vaccines. So of course it's got to be safe and effective if she's going to get her money from the insurance companies. Moving on, she said, we held our ground from that day forward. Our son is now 4 and will be entering preschool in the fall. I'm struggling with extreme anxiety over an appointment coming up on the 23rd of this month. I'm bringing the preschool form for her to fill out. She's going to ask me about the vaccines, and this is where my question comes into play. I'm really hoping you can help me. What are your thoughts on exemptions? What route should we take with the preschool? They already stated that he will need to be up to date on his vaccinations, and we will need a form filled out. I was thinking about completing a religious exemption form. What are your thoughts? I know your son is too young for preschool, but do you have any idea what you will do once and if he enters preschool? I have terrible anxiety over all of this. Can he be denied from the school for having a religious exemption form completed stating that he is exempt from the vaccines? I'm so new to all of this, my head is spinning. Any direction would be appreciated. Okay. So what I'm going to say to you, Wednesday child, is yes, my son is not ready to enter preschool, but we have had discussions about this already because we're like, should we enroll him in daycare like once a week so that he can socialize with other kids? And so we've immediately thought, wait a second, is our son going to be forced to be vaccinated? Like, you know what, what's the idea? We're going to have to go through this process very soon as we begin looking at little daycares for him to go to. And first and foremost, I just want to say how absolutely ridiculous it is that they pretend that your child needs to be vaccinated to go to school when your child does not have to be vaccinated to go anywhere else, right? So my son goes to the science museum throughout the week. My son goes to this like club for kids where they can play inside because it gets really hot here in Tennessee. Nobody cares if he's vaccinated. He plays with the kids all the time. Your son's allowed to go to the park. What is so special about being inside of a school building, if I can just ask the question, that suddenly, no, now your child's going to be a risk when they're allowed into every other environment? They're allowed to go to the aquarium. They're allowed to go watch kid movies. Nobody needs to have a vaccine paper. So that's just how you know that it's entirely foolish to believe that it's just within the school that the child is going to provide an issue. And quite frankly, after reading about the shedding of vaccines, I think the children that are being vaccinated every 2 months are actually what makes me a little unnerved and a little uncomfortable in terms of sending my kid to school. My sister.
Okay, so it may have seemed as if Candace avoided giving the location of the pay pig this time, but spoiler alert, the pay pig failed to give her location.
Yeah.
That'll come up later.
Okay.
However, Candace asked a valid question herself about how things work in Tennessee. It's pretty much how they work everywhere, but just focusing on Tennessee, the Tennessee Department of Health, link provided in the stack, is responsible for helping to ensure that the schools in Tennessee are safe for everyone. And since schools of all types, from preschool and daycare up through college, are places where large numbers of people gather for extended periods of time, multiple times per week, as many people as possible should be vaccinated for the betterment of everyone involved. Whereas a library, museum, mall, aquarium, etc. is not necessarily a place where the same people will be in and day out, multiple times per week. Schools can already be bad enough disease factories without voluntarily non-vaccinated people in the mix. At any rate, if anyone wants the official policy of the Tennessee Department of Health, it is in the link stack. Remember, she is talking... Now remember, in the next thing, she is talking about one of her sister's kids again. Doesn't say which one.
There's a child got sick the second he went to his first day of preschool. He got hand, foot, and mouth disease and then had to come right back home for like a month because it was just going around. But I'm going off on a rant on that.
Okay, so this is actually pretty common. That link was only that clip was only 10 seconds long. About 200,000 cases per year in America of hand, foot, and mouth disease are diagnosed. It's mostly kids and it's caused by a virus. I've included the link in the stack. A link to an American Medical Association resource about it in their series called What Doctors Wish Patients Knew. It is viral and there is no real cure but time and rest for an infected person. It is highly contagious, with any body fluid, including open sickness sores from the disease, of course, being a way for it to spread. I've never had it, and I don't think I've ever known someone who was infected, but it sounds miserable from what I read. painful sores, rashes, and the sores can be inside the throat or the mouth as well.
Oh, ho, ho.
Yeah.
I've dealt with accidentally, like, chemical burning the interior of my mouth and dealing with not just the sores, but then the follow-up, that kind of, like, pussy fluid. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't quite know what it's called, but that stuff, when it builds up before the pop happens and the sore's exposed,
Well, it's sometimes likened to a summer flu because cough and congestion can come with it as well.
Man.
Yeah. And a fever. Like, you can just get all the bad shit all at once with this. Diagnosis is usually performed visually in a medical office, and the only real treatment is keeping the kid, because it's usually a child, comfortable with over-the-counter medicine and keeping them hydrated. As for her sister's kid being out of school for a month, this is abnormal.
Yeah. That sounds like something worse was going on, if that's the case.
Well, most infections of this clear up in a 7 to 10 day time span. If the little dude had it for 30 days, though, it could have been a reinfection, which are known to happen with this.
Mm-hmm.
Though reinfection is usually less severe. Doctors say the best way to avoid catching it at all is teaching kids proper hand hygiene and for adults to clean frequently touched surfaces, which is the same as most other public health concerns, really.
Mm-hmm.
And now, Candace is going to tell this one scared parent, and any scared parent that stayed at the Daily Wire pay pig level, exactly how she wants them to be abusive to medical staff, literally trying to keep their children alive. It is also the last clip, but it is 3.5 minutes long. That's the only warning anyone gets.
In general, but to answer your question, I have no issues with people applying for religious exemptions. I would do absolutely anything if it came to protecting my child. If you, again, are going through these vaccine inserts and you are educated and you feel uncomfortable, you do not allow your child to become a test dummy, least of all so that he can learn his numbers and colors. Okay, you could watch Barney and you can learn that. He does not need to roll up his sleeve and insert something that you believe to be harmful to him inside of his body, just so he can go to school. The idea that we're even having to have this discussion, that you have to have anxiety, that as a parent you are being told by the state that you have to operate under duress, is ridiculous. Big Pharma has way too much power. I would do absolutely anything to protect my child. My child will not be vaccinated. That is my bottom line. And I also want to encourage you to go in confidently. Like, when you do things, do not allow these doctors, these nurses that are, team vaccine to make you feel small. I think that they can pick up on your energy, and they need to know that you are the parent, right? I am the parent. I will be making the decisions for my child, and you're not going to make me feel small. There is nobody, as I said earlier, that cares more about your child than you, okay? To that pediatrician, that's just $1 that's out the door, right? Like, the insurance companies are not going to, maybe she's not going to make her bonus from the insurance companies for keeping your child in the vaccine schedule. And you're not seeing your child that way. You're actually caring and doing this research, and you likely know more about these vaccines and the history of them than these doctors and nurses do. So be confident, sit up, make sure you have your shoulders pushed back, and look them in the eye when you have these discussions. Apply for a religious exemption, see what happens. I know tons of people. I'm in Tennessee, so I don't know what state you're in. It's always important when you guys send me these questions to tell me what state you're in, so I can maybe proactively take a look at those state laws. But in Tennessee, there's a lot more freedom for children. I have also been hearing from parents that have taken the route of sending their children to religious schools or private schools, so there seems to be a lot more freedom. I don't know if that's your scenario because you haven't specified. But the most important thing, the number one thing, is to protect your child and to ensure that you have a bottom line, that you are not going to allow your anxiety to suddenly spiral into, okay, I'm going to do whatever they say because I just want him to be able to learn his colors at this preschool. That cannot be, that cannot be something that you're willing to do simply because you feel the pressure or you feel anxiety. And I hope that in doing this series, we are encouraging mothers to feel more confident and to recognize that you are the mama bear, right? You are what stands between your child and Big Pharma. When you hear these episodes and you see what's happening to adults that are getting these vaccines, when you hear these episodes and you see what's coming around the corner, when you see how nefarious Big Pharma is being hiding data, hiding facts, hiding injuries, paying off people silently, I hope that gives you the nerve to defend your child. And that's all I'm going to say. That's going to be a wrap on this episode, ladies and gentlemen. I am 3 weeks away from giving birth, and so I'm going on maternity leave for a little bit. I'm hoping that that in the next 2 weeks I'll maybe throw out one more episode. I really want to get into MMR. I'm so excited about that episode, which is going to have to actually be 2 episodes to get into the history of that. But please go on to patreon.com, support the show so that we can make it even bigger going into next season. Again, I just got to drop this baby, and I will be right back. Hopefully, maybe one more episode, but this might be the last one until I give birth. So it's been an absolute pleasure. I love connecting with all of the parents, and I'm grateful to every single person that has taken the time to support this show. I'll be back. I'm not gone for long. I'm just going to go have a baby, a nice, healthy baby girl, and then I'll announce her name on Parlor. I'll see you guys. Thanks so much.
Free at last. The baby's name, by the way, since she released it publicly, I feel comfortable saying it, Louise May. Louise May Farmer. Yeah. So Candace would go on to not really make any more episodes until she left Daily Wire and went to Locals, and then left Locals and took it all over to Club Candace, which was about 2 years later. And she recently had kid number 4.
Yeah.
So starting next week, we will be getting into those episodes. I haven't listened to them yet, and I'm not looking forward to it all that much. But the research that I have to do has a certain appeal, so I'll be okay.
Yeah.
Let's drink something foreign and hopefully not completely nasty.
Yeah. I don't have the...
Yeah, it's over here.
Okay.
Yeah, I was scoping everything out during the last clip. Okay. I just saw it. There it is. Okay. And do you have the opener?
Right there on my desk next to the comics.
Oh, look at that. It's right where it should be.
Yeah.
And not, being a fire pit or whatever the fuck you were doing with... Okay.
I wanted to test the burning capacity of alcohol.
Yeah, which I feel has, been tested by other people in safer conditions than a bedroom in Minneapolis. But all right, whatever.
I have scorch marks on my desk from it, too.
You just stop talking. Okay? Stop talking about it. I want to know less than I do. Do not make me know more.
If it's any consolation, it was completely safe.
Yeah, well,
on my end of it.
The fact that this 100-year-old house hasn't burned down. Any rate.
I mean, it's wondering from the wiring alone.
Yeah, shut up. Just you're not making it better. All right, so tonight we have something that I will call Chercy, tarragon flavored carbonated beverage. And yeah, tarragon is right there on the label. It is in English a bit. I'll go ahead and read it off here. Carbonated water, high fructose corn syrup and or sugar. So there's no telling. Citric acid, natural tarragon. It doesn't say tarragon flavor. It says natural tarragon. Sodium benzoate, a preservative, and you know it's good. FD&C yellow number 5 and blue number 1. Yeah.
That explains the turquoisey color it's got going on.
Sounds delicious. Yeah, because the bottle itself is clear.
Yeah.
Distributed by Sparkling Blends LLC, Oceanside, New York.
Huh.
For more information, visit chercy.com. That's CHERSI.com.
Imagine you live in a European country and you get something that's got New York on it, and you go to New York and you're like, I want to get my hands on Chercy. Do you have any Chercy? And everybody's just like, what the fuck are you saying, pal?
Yeah.
Are you harassing me?
It is kind of bluish, actually. I thought it was green, but it's definitely bluish. All right, well, I'm going to... Oh, it's got a screw top cap, so...
Oh, well, that was...
Yeah.
The amount of bottles we've found out have a screw top cap.
No, right. Yeah, you want to...
Yep.
It has what I will call a non-smell.
That's not...
Got some foamage. All right, put your glass down near the microphone.
Yeah.
If any of you have fallen asleep and you pissed yourself in the bed because this noise, I'm not sorry. Why would you go to sleep with this?
Yeah. The bubbles are blue.
Ooh, it has a smell to it.
There's no way our... Oh.
That actually is
up.
kind of pleasant, really. That's got a nice, pleasant smell.
Hang on.
Well, I mean, tarragon itself has got kind of a licoricey taste, in my opinion, so... This has a bit of a...
It smells like a comic shop.
No?
No?
No.
I smelled that smell somewhere.
Yeah, it's like licorice.
I've never had... Okay, I've had licorice once in my life.
Jesus. Ugh. Look, I'm not a fan of licorice, but you should have it a little more often than that. Yeah, it's a bit root beery, basically.
Yeah, it's got a bit of a root beery.
Root beery scent. Let's give it a shot, though.
Mm-hmm.
God damn, that's good.
What the fuck?
That's like a sweet... It's got like a sweet kind of root beer taste to it. That's a little bit of all right.
See, I was thinking it would taste obviously
like herbal.
Yeah, I was thinking like how tarragon oil tastes.
Right.
You know. And no, I'm not talking about tarragon extract oil. I'm talking about when you take olive oil and you put tarragon into it.
Yeah, or like tarragon vinegar.
Yeah.
Which I've used for béarnaise and stuff. You know what's crazy? You can buy tarragon vinegar on the shelf now. I've seen it at some of the ones in Byerly's and Kowalski's stores here.
Yeah. You can also get tarragon oil. Way too expensive, though.
Of course. Well, look, it's because it takes a while to infuse.
Yeah.
But to get an infusion of that, you just get a bottle of cheap olive oil that's preferably olive oil and not like some blend. Mm-hmm. And you just stuff some tarragon into it.
Yeah.
And cap it. And set it in a nice, cool place in the cabinet. And leave it the fuck alone.
Yeah. It'll do it. It'll do it itself.
It'll break down and do its own thing. Yeah. You can get garlic oil that same way. Like, it's incredibly stupid and easy to do. It just takes time.
Yeah. God.
So what you're paying for is someone else to have taken that time.
Okay. I mean, while that makes sense...
It's still stupidly expensive.
Yeah. If you're doing something that requires tarragon oil, it's probably for a planned event, and you could probably plan out the time to make the tarragon oil ahead of time.
Oh, absolutely. However, that all being said, that soda was delicious. It was really good.
See, I don't mind it. It's just... I've never had that taste before.
Right. It's
it's a little weird for me, but it's
right on point with
good,
being tarragon-y. I mean, there's tarragon in the soda. Like, it wasn't listed as an extract or anything. It's a natural tarragon in it. So I'm
like I said, it's good. It's good. I've never had that flavor before, because my flavor profile with tarragon has always been like herb.
Yeah.
Not.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely in there. Like, I give them a lot of respect for that. There are other tarragon sodas at Paradise Market. So and this being our last soda from the blend means we have an excuse to go back over there.
Yeah, have an excuse to get more of those whatever the fucking marshmallow things are called.
Oh, God, if they have them.
God, yeah.
They didn't the last time. What we're talking about, people, is. Okay, the closest thing I can think of to it is pinwheels. Yeah. Pinwheels are a, marshmallow confection, usually with like a cookie bottom and enrobed in chocolate. Yeah. These were from Russia. Mm-hmm. And they are basically cranberry marshmallow coated in chocolate. And they are utterly delicious. Oh, yeah. And they are only about $3 at Paradise Market. Yeah. I don't know if they got hit with tariffs, but my God, those things are good. They're called, they have the brand name Kefir, which is, they are not like yogurt drink kefir at all. Mm-mm. They're just incredibly good.
Oh, yeah. And the ones that I took with me to my friend's place in Colorado, they were good, but they weren't those. Yeah. Like, they were closer to a pinwheel. Yeah. Because they had that, wasn't really like a cookie, but it was. It, for anybody familiar with Jaffa cakes, it was kind of one of those like Jaffa cakes because
we had some before you left.
Yeah. It was
And they
that
were
spongy.
good.
It was that spongy cake with the jelly, and then the marshmallow, and then robed in chocolate.
Yeah,
it was good, but it wasn't the same like thing.
Yeah. Well, I think the next time that we go there too, I'm going to get some of that ham. Mm-hmm. I'm going to get like a pound of that ham.
God, I would love to get some of the pastrami that they have there.
Yeah.
Hell, I'd love to go to the fucking Jewish cafe and get some pastrami.
Right. Side note to that, I was told by somebody who lives over in that area recently that they were told that Crossroads, which is the delicatessen you're talking about, they were told that Crossroads said that they were closing down.
Damn it.
So I don't know if that's true or not. They had heard it from somebody that goes there frequently.
Yeah.
So it may have just been like we're going to close down early this weekend or something like that. I'm staying positive about it.
I hope it's just a like...
But I do want to drop in there. I have multiple opportunities on a daily to drop in there. So I think I'm going to drop in there sometime over the next few days and see if that was in any way true. Mm-hmm. I honestly, of course, hope it's not, because Crossroads is an awesome restaurant.
Yeah.
And they have an awesome deli, and I would hate to see them go away.
Yeah, and I mean, the amount of people they have in there on a regular, there's no way that they're closing down.
The place is almost always packed.
Yeah, there's no way that they're closing down.
I would hope that it's not a close down because of money. I would hope it's more of a close down because of, like, the people just want to retire and no one wants to take it over.
Yeah, or people are, renovating because they're trying to make more room.
Yeah. Oh, like, God, yeah. The place could use, like, a larger dining room, for sure.
What's funny about the whole, like, layout of the place...
Yeah. It's clearly an old IHOP.
Oh, yeah. It's not just an old IHOP, but, like, the way that they refurbished the interior makes it look like an old, like, German fucking cafe.
Like a Bavarian French-style cafe.
Yeah. And I know some people that I would love to take there and wear a suit and not explain to them where they're going until they get there.
Right.
Just because I know I'd show up very appropriately dressed and they would not, and they would just sit there awkward as hell, like the same time that I took them to the fucking block.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean...
God.
Right, but yeah.
Never say you want to have a meeting with the motherfucker that has suits in his closet.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's...
Especially not when he offers to pay for lunch and he tells you, hey, I booked the reservation for this time. When the words reservation are in the goddamn sentence, oh.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, and that person was you that booked the reservation. Yeah. Yeah, no, like...
I'm the asshole with suits in my closet.
Right. Good ones that you paid for.
Yeah.
Yeah, but, I mean, that's... I really hope Crossroads isn't closing down.
Yeah.
Because, God, it's fucking good food. Oh, my God.
If they are, we need to know what day they're going to close down. So
we can go drop in and eat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Drop in and eat there one last time. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I'll get some intel on that over the weekend.
All right.
But, yeah, that's... so, yeah, the next time that I go into a Candace episode, it's going to be from newer content. Yeah.
First time in a... Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Like, I haven't... Well, like, I've been listening to her content, and I heard something extremely funny the other day, and I'm going to reach out to Dan on Knowledge Fight for it.
Yeah.
I wanted to include it as a drop, but I want to include it as a drop with context.
Yeah.
But I'll go ahead and let y'all know, since it's probably going to be some time, if Dan ever responds.
Yeah.
But I want to see if I can get a clip for him.
Yeah. From
something that was mentioned in a Candace interview from, like, December of last year. She interviewed this guy, Scott Horton, she had been turned on to Scott Horton's work by way of idiot Dave Smith.
Okay.
Now, Scott Horton said some things that were factual and some things that I don't think were factual in the interview. It's like 2 hours long. I suffered through it. But one of the funny things that happens about an hour or so into the interview was Candace, like, Syria had just fallen to the rebels. And Candace goes into it saying, it's not good that Syria fell.
Yeah.
She's very much a Bashar al-Assad stan.
Oh.
Because Bashar al-Assad was on good terms with Putin.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah,
See,
there you
I
go.
had
There you
no
go.
clue who...
I have to know all this shit. So,
okay.
yeah.
I don't
Bashar
even...
al-Assad
There we go.
previously, earlier in his life, had been an eye surgeon, or an eye doctor, rather, in London. Okay? His family ruled Syria.
Okay.
He decided he didn't want to be part of the ruling family.
Okay.
I know all this from Behind the Bastards. So Bashar al-Assad goes off. The Assad family ran Syria.
Yeah.
Generationally. Bashir goes off to study, medicine.
Yeah.
Becomes an eye doctor. Lives in London. His older brother was recognized generally as the one who was going to take over.
Yeah.
His older brother had an affinity for racing cars around the Syrian capital. I don't remember the name of it right now, but he had an affinity for racing cars around the capital, like he belonged in Fast and Furious or whatever.
Yeah.
Aside from that, he was generally recognized as a decent person.
Okay. So a bit of a street rat, but
Yeah.
okay otherwise.
Yeah, like generally okay. Like
Yeah.
and the family was gearing up for him to take over.
Yeah.
And not in a my father died situation, but in a I'm going to pass this on publicly situation. Yeah. Well, anyway, the older brother dies.
Okay.
Yeah. The older brother dies at a young age. Bashir, who has not been in favor to take over, is brought in because he's the next son. Mm-hmm. He's brought in. He very quickly becomes the leader, and he very quickly decides to have absolute power. Mm-hmm. And he does all the typical dictatory things, which is, get famous American celebrity friends like Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie. Mm-hmm. And he's just horrifying human being. Candace loves him.
Of course.
And so she's all like, Syria falls and that's not a good thing. I think that's actually the title of the episode. Well, anyway, in that episode, her and Scott Horton, they're going back and forth, like they're being very friendly. Mm-hmm. There's a moment of contention that I love.
Yeah.
Candace says something positive about Alex Jones. Mm. Scott Horton isn't having it. Mm-hmm. And he goes, "Oh, Alex Jones, you mean the InfoWars guy? You mean the guy who said after October 7th that Israel needs to bomb Gaza with Moab bombs?" Horton is against the war entirely. Mm-hmm. And he says, Alex Jones said that. Yeah. And Candace is like, now Candace, trying to keep shit clean with Alex Jones, my theory at the time of all of that was that she was going to buy InfoWars. Yeah. So she's like, oh, no, I don't think Alex Jones said that. And he's like, I'm pretty sure he did. She's like, oh, well, I would have to see that for myself. And he's like, I'll try to find it. He's really pushing, he's not letting this go. He's like, I don't want to hear anything that guy has to say about anything.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God.
Damn.
So what I want to get Dan from Knowledge Fight, I'm going to write to him in the next couple of days here. I'm going to mention it and see if he's got anything from October 7th period where Alex Jones supposedly said this.
Yeah.
Because I would love to get that clip.
Yeah.
If he said it and be able to play it, on the show. I don't want to go back to Knowledge Fight because sometimes Knowledge Fight doesn't cover Alex in real time. We're not covering Candace in real time.
No.
Because we're on this series that she says on Twitter, she keeps it posted up, that this is her penultimate achievement in life. Is this Shot in the Dark series? Not being a mother. Not being a wife. Not even being a provider. She doesn't mention any of that. She says the work I'm most proud of is available in full here. And it gives a link to
Not
Candace.
even her book that we initially started covering?
Yeah, no, and she's got a book coming out in September called Make Him a Sandwich. Yeah. Nick Fuentes has been all over that. Nick Fuentes is still a terrible human being who does not deserve to be on the planet with the rest of us. But, yeah, he has had exception with that title. Mm-hmm. And I will not... I don't want to play any Nick Fuentes on here. I think the closest I might get to that is if I decide to debunk and run the back and forth interview, debate, whatever you want to call it, that they had with each other.
Yeah.
Might do that, but I don't think so.
I
feel like it's kind of beneath us, and I don't really want to deal with it. Just because it's too, like... alt-right liars, just like going back and forth with each other, just airing their beef with each other, but not really airing their beef with each other. It's just them, like, it's just a shouting match. It's kind of garbage. It's kind of bullshitty.
I was going to say, honestly, from what I understand of it, it's a touch celebrity gossipy. Yeah. Because it's just the two of them airing out dirty laundry about each other.
Yeah, and not even really. Like, they don't really, like, they're... From what I've seen of it on Reddit clips that people have shared up on the Nick Fuentes thing and on the Candace Owens thing, it doesn't seem to be that they're really like saying anything important. They just decided to get together and do this and charge people $1.99 to see it.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't feel like it's necessary to engage with that. I don't see the point. So I'm gonna leave that alone. But like I'll probably download it and have it in my archive, but otherwise I see no reason to engage further.
Yeah.
Any rate, that's it. Like I said, I'm gonna try to get a hold of Dan on Knowledge Fight and see if I can get a clip of Alex actually having said that shit.
Yeah.
Or not. Dan might write back and go, "Yeah, that didn't happen." Mm-hmm. But it sounds like Scott Horton sounded very convinced that it did.
Maybe not those exact, but probably close enough.
Probably close, yeah. So I'm gonna let that one marinate. While I suggest you let that marinate. Yeah. Letterkenny.
Oh, yeah.
If you have a problem with Canada Gooses, then you have a problem with me, and I suggest you let that marinate. We have a store in the Mall of America called Canada Goose.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't imagine how much Letterkenny shit those employees hear on a daily. Maybe they're into it.
Yeah. I mean, if I can't get roasted by mall staff, I don't know.
Right.
Like, I should be able to walk into their store, try to raise an issue, and then just get roasted back and forth by them.
Yeah. That should be a privilege that they have just as mall employees. God.
There was a guy...
People were fucking saints.
There was a guy that went to
speaking of
Halloween, and he went in and he had a list, and he's like, "Yeah, I was wondering, do you guys have the like Jeffrey Dahmer costume?" And there were two chicks at the counter. One was an alt like goth chick, and the other one was just normal. And the goth one started cackling. Yeah. Because he's like listing off all of these different things. He's like, do you have the Saudi Arabian? And the manager gets involved, and the manager and the other employee who is like doing her best to not crack like the goth one had. Start laying into him and berating him about how it's inappropriate and that the cops are on their way. And he's like, but... It was a joke. Y'all work at a Spirit Halloween. How do you not have a morbid sense of humor?
Right.
That girl clearly does.
Yeah. I mean, well, that's what I was going to say, though, was... oh, God. Yeah, okay, so this is episode 37.
Is it?
Yeah, and I refrained. I refrained from making any Kevin Smith 37 dick jokes.
Oh, God.
That's the only one I'm going to mention. Right at the end of the episode. Okay, so, I mean, I love me some Kevin Smith, but Clerks is still amazing, still holds up.
Yeah. Clerks 3 is a fucking ride.
Clerks 2 is a ride, shit.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. All right. Well, that'll be it for this episode, I think, unless you have anything to add.
Just don't look up donkey shows. That's about it.
Well, make sure that if you hire a donkey show, you know what you're getting into.
Yeah.
Yeah. See Clerks 2 for more information. All right, everybody. Bye.
Bye.